Chevys on the Malecon, salt on the chrome, paint peeling slow, grandma counting worn out pesos says, mijo, something's gonna blow. Flags fade on the old hotel, tourists drink their rum and go. Radio talks into accents about a brand new vogue. Cuba, 51st state of the sun, stars and stripes in the Caribbean. Same blue waves, a different anthem, still the same red in our drum. Busted barrio, kids swap caps, argy calls. One says soon we're buying hot dogs in a big new stadium wall. Street band plays old boleros, slides into something strange. A pledge in a different language, but the hope feels just the same. Dance till the morning. Will Abuela save her songs? Can a brand new piece of paper hold a hurt that's old this long? We've been islands in our heads, farther than the sea is wide. Maybe 50 stars and one more can fit under this tide. Oh yeah! State of the sun, stars and stripes in the Caribbean. Same blue waves, a different anthem, still the same red in our drum. Cuba, 51st state of the sun, side by side on that banner we run from Havana down to Key West. We rise as 51. Midnight on the rooftop, old flag in my hands, ancient lion on the canvas, facing steel and desert sand. They try to paint our story over with the blacked out lies and chains, but under every burned out poster I still hear our father's names. hearts. Hey, for the brothers in prisons, carving dates into the stone. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. Pressure will rise, I swear it. Hear that echo in my bones. From terror roofs to the ancient thrones. We're breaking their walls, we bear it. Every tear, every battle cry. You can cage your body, but the soul won't die. Pressure will rise. Oh, pressure will rise. We stand together till the falcon flies.
Good morning. Welcome to the NPC show. Deprogramming the world one NPC at a time. I'm your host, Frank. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. Sorry about that. Yeah, good morning, everyone. How you doing? We have a very long show today. Very long. You have no idea. It'll probably be like 2.5 hours, 2 hours on YouTube, and an additional 3 hours everywhere else. And I'll tell you why in a bit. Give me a second. Let me say hello to everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Bourbon, Doom, Kim, Mary, Sheila McBride. Good to see you, dear. Good morning. Tanya, Sherry. Good to see you. Hello, Carrie. Good morning to you. Oh no, your prayers to Carrie's uncle. He had a heart attack. And they're checking for brain function today. I'm sorry. Sorry that happened to you. Prayers to you and your uncle. Lisa, good morning to you. Doreen, Mandy, McLean, good to see you. Rhoda Hogg, Bradley, Mary, Mac Brazel, good to see all of you. Good morning. Hello to everyone over on Rumble. We've got Gene, David, One Bad Apple, Critty, Amber, good to see you. Campbell, good morning to all of you. Hello to everyone over on Foxhole. We got Josie Cooper, Stephanie Sprague, Seaver, and Curious Cat with the donation to start the show. Thank you very much, dear. Meow, meow, meow. Anyways, so we have quite a bit to get through today. First of all, a long show. Okay, a mishmash of good and bad news. A lot of stuff's pissing me off, especially with Josh Hawley. So a mishmash of good and bad news, followed by two things. One, the DOJ is doing a massive presser today. Lots of fraud, and it's, by the way, extending out to Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii's fraud unit has been decertified. Yeah, they are literally going to be fired. Hawaii's own state fraud unit, zero convictions, and tons and tons and tons of expenses in Medicare. So big stuff there. And then also those executive order signings, we're going to watch that with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Then we're going to cut off YouTube. Today's an anniversary of, you know what, probably the most shameful day in my people's history. If you don't know what happened, 1989. For about a month, people from all over Pandaland were gathering. It's very peaceful. Okay, it was like a festival almost. People were giving out food. Everyone was lots of hugs, lots of highs. It was very cheery. But it was a protest. It was a protest against the government. All they wanted was more transparency. They wanted to know what was going on. They wanted the government to talk to them a little bit more. You know how the government responded on June 4th, 1989? They responded by sending in the military and killing all of them. So, yeah, Tiananmen Square massacre, guys. 1989 today. So, three things to watch over on Rumble side. It's going to be the China in Focus has a new piece about more details about Trump's tariffs that is going after countries that buy slave-made products, mostly European and plus Taiwan, by the way. Then we're going to watch two documentaries. One is called Tremble and Obey, and the other one's called The Tank Man. And so those are two documentaries that I air every year. Those last three are not going to be on YouTube because of, they don't like watch parties. So we're going to watch all the presser stuff on YouTube. We're going to cut off YouTube, go over to Rumble and everywhere else. Okay. So, and if you want to look for, if you need a link to the watch party, it's going to be in the description. Okay. Hello, Janet people. Good morning. Kismet, Lisa, Barry. Good to see all of you. Who's popping in over on this side? Nobody knew. I think Jillian's internet's down maybe. Anyways, let's get going. Here we go. First story of the day, John Bolton is going to be pleading guilty. Yeah, He can be fined up to $2.25 million. Although I believe the plea deal is probably gonna see him with 0 jail time. Doesn't that suck? Fuck money. No one cares about money. He's just gonna get paid in the back end by the military industrial complex. He doesn't care about the money.
Breaking news, sources revealing that John Bolton is planning to plead guilty to retaining classified information. That plea will likely keep him out of prison. This stems from a charge, 18 of them at the end of last year, of keeping a diary-like material of classified information. So it looks like that case is moving forward and in all likelihood is now settled. All right, now.
Yeah. So absolutely shameful that all they did is send him a bill. I mean, he must have made like billions of dollars on this entire military industrial complex bullshit. You know, all the wars we disagreed with. Anyways, that's terrible. Next story. This lady here is one of them NASA scientists who went missing a while back. Well, they finally found her a couple days ago. Coroner did some autopsy on her and found a gunshot wound. Yeah. So it looks like she was popped off. She was taken out. Melissa Casillas. Yeah, that's crazy. 54-year-old. She worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Despite that, by the way, that's where they developed the first atom bomb. Remember that? The Manhattan Project. So, yeah, she was seen. This is about 6 miles from the last place Casillas was seen walking before being declared missing. Yeah. Oh, she was popped off in the head. The gun was found close by. I wonder if it was serialized, shaved off serial number, or if it was a ghost gun. At first glance, they may suggest that this was a self-inflicted incident. However, the investigator does not agree. He has been working on the case of Casillas' disappearance on behalf of her parents, Joe and Joanne Mondragon. I mean, you walked yourself out into the middle of nowhere and did it. Why not in the comfort of your own home? So he suspects foul play. I think we all do, considering how many there are that are missing. I bet they're all in some hiking trail like she was. Next story. The FBI raided this guy right here. He's apparently a CEO of some tech company that was providing very high-tech material to Iran in order to build their nuclear and military programs. Yeah. So, and by the way, he only reported a $20,000 income. That, by the way, might very well be why he got caught. Yeah. Supplying U.S. equipment to Iran's nuclear program. Yeah, that's so he got busted. That is him getting perp walked right there. His name is, what is his name? Jamshid Ghami, a dual U.S. Iranian citizen. Oh, you have dual citizenship, huh? Hey, how about revoking all citizenship of U.S. people who are still hanging on to the Iranian citizenship? Wow. 63-year-old. I mean, when they were investigating all this stuff, when they started sanctioning Iran, I mean, you don't want to, I don't know, liquidate and leave the country and escape the law. You don't want to do that. You thought you were invincible, huh? So he reported only $20,000 in income, fraudulently claimed the earned income tax credit, a benefit intended for low to moderate income working individuals and families in 7 different tax years. Also, over the same period, he reported more than $1.7 million in home mortgage interest deductions and $1.25 million in state and local real estate taxes. Wow, he can afford quite a big house for only making $20,000 a year. Boy, these guys can't math for shit, huh? The mansion itself was funded with dirty money. He purchased a vacant lot in Newport Coast in 2010 for $4.5 million and spent over $10 million constructing the massive residence, more than $7 million in foreign source wires, many from trading companies and exchanging houses tied to his Iranian operation. All that flowed into the escrow account between 2011 and 2015. Wow, you are bad at this, buddy. Holy shit. Well, enjoy your retirement while that's his house, huh? Very nice. It's too bad it belongs to the government now. They're gonna auction it off and use that money to buy more missiles to fire at your bosses in Iran. Next story. An illegal alien who was released into the U.S. during the Biden administration, traveled from California to Florida to try to scam elderly Americans out of $500,000.
In Alachua County Sheriff's Deputy.
That is what he looks like. This is a typical look of the scammer these days.
Deputies worked alongside FBI agents to arrest this man, 20-year-old Gurpinder Singh. He is accused of attempting to steal nearly $500,000 worth of hold from an elderly woman. We believe their investigators say he flew from California last month to take the gold, so jewelry there, after scamming her into making those purchases. Authorities intervened and then arrested Singh yesterday. He's being held on a $200,000 bond for.
Can you imagine how many American grandmas right now have no money to retire on because of all these Indian scammers? You see why we're tariffing them? It's more than the fact that they tariff us worse than anybody else. It's because of crap like this.
Grand theft. In Alachua County Sheriff.
Next story. ICE is searching in South Carolina, guys. Look at that. They're issuing they got a search warrant for someone who is hiring. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a massive business. ICE operations out in South Carolina at a casting company. I think metal casting. Wow, they apparently hired lots of illegals. These are some of the operations right here. Ooh, busted. You're getting busted.
Everywhere. I got an escort out this bit. Black trucks. I get escort, gang. Look at this shit. This shit is diabolical. They everywhere too. On my mama there. Man, I already got bad order. My money fucked up.
Anyways, my rock says, "Don't tell me Hawley's another backstabber and wolf in sheep's clothing." Yeah, but officially today, Hawley has more strikes than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. A vessel carrying 240 Haitian migrants was intercepted after being found taking on water and at risk of sinking. The Coast Guard went and saved them. Why? Let them figure it out themselves. Just sail away. Like Anya says, sail away. What are you doing? You help them? I believe we have too much carbon going on this planet. Yeah, they saved them. You know what you should do? You should do what the Greek military does and fire a torpedo at them. That's what they do. Not kidding. They sunk a ship with like 450 African migrants. They all died. Good stuff. We should be taking a note from Greece. You know, they're not all bad. Next story. Rubio. Yesterday was day 2 of his hearing. By the way, half of his hearing was filibustering about the Democrats. He did not get to talk at all much. Sometimes he does and gets to say stuff like this.
This goes right to the criticisms that I keep hearing from that side over there about us not spending the money because we got rid of a USAID program. USAID basically was a program, was a system that was completely devoid of our public policy. It operated almost as an independent State Department, and oftentimes USAID was operating in contravention and contradiction of what the embassy was trying to accomplish in the host country. And one of the complaints you would get from many developing countries is that they would get flooded with NGOs that were picked for them. These NGOs would then operate in the country without even coordinating with the government, doing whatever they wanted and pursuing what they wanted. And
whatever they wanted, including giving tons of super chats to Black content creators, buying a bunch of Jay-Z and Beyonce albums so they can go platinum. This is how they bolstered the Black industry. Yeah.
in some cases, it extended well beyond food and medicine. It extended to political interference and all sorts of...
They funded CNN, right? They give music to musicians. Now you know why people like, what's his name? Spurgstein or whatever the hell his name is. I don't remember his name. He keeps saying bad things about Trump. Yeah, guess who he's funded by? Probably these guys.
Other activities in these countries that were undermining the national interest and the credibility of the United States. Now, these compacts in particular are promising and exciting because they are government-to-government arrangements. No longer do we put money into a bucket and says, this is for vaccines, or this is for medical care, or this is for standing up clinics globally. We are doing it individually, country by country. And the reason why that makes sense is because every country has unique needs. Some country may need more help in some area than in others. But at the core of this arrangement that we're making with countries is their desire and our goal to ultimately help them build their own national health systems so that eventually they no longer are dependent on foreign aid. This goes right.
Tell me he does not have president written all over him. All right? This right here can be a president the Hispanic community can be very proud of. Yeah, unlike Obama. You blacks will never live that down, I swear to God. You'll be lucky to ever get another half black president in this country ever again after what Obama did. Next story. Now here's an example of Rubio getting filibustered. Here we go. They just whenever it's the Democrats' turn to talk, they just talk for their entire 5 minutes, and he doesn't even get a chance to respond.
Americans in
Why is she leaving? I'm going to answer her questions.
So in other words, the Democrats get on the mic, they yap for 5 minutes, and then they go, yeah, I withdraw my time, and then they go back. They just leave. Yeah, they don't even give him a chance to respond. He might as well not be there. They might as well have two separate hearings, one for the Republicans where they actually have serious questions, and one for the Democrats where he's not there. We just put a cardboard Rubio on there, right? And then he doesn't have to waste his time in these stupid hearings.
I will make Americans in
Why is she leaving? I'm going to answer her questions.
I will.
Oh, she's go. Okay, I got it. Well, thank you for coming.
All right, so we're going to talk
about... He's about equally as witty as Donald Trump. He's good. He's got it, you know?
I just want to...
It's just good to see that there's someone out there who could very much carry not just the political torch of Donald Trump, but the social torch. You know what I mean? And he can be funny without being a jerk, which is great, you know?
All right, so we're going to talk about... I just want to...
There's more.
Unfortunately, Representative's time has expired. Representative Salazar is recognized.
Yes.
And giving contracts with no transparency
Can I
is
borrow your
exactly the
time to
reason
answer?
why you shut down U.S.
Can I borrow your time to answer? See, it's bullshit because the Democrats will talk like this the whole time, filibuster for 5 minutes, and then in order for him to respond, he has to use some Republicans' time to get to respond to it. Yeah.
SAID. So practice what you preach. I yield my
Oh,
pass.
she gets to scream now too?
Chairman,
Scream and
can we
shout.
take down her words?
I'll give you some time. I'll give
Yeah.
you some of my time. Then you just...
Okay.
Just
Oh God,
change
what
the
kind of
energy.
thing is this? What is this? You get asked questions for 5 minutes and you don't get time to answer. It's not a hearing.
Yeah. See, it's good to see that there's another person aside from Trump that can actually take these shots from the left and actually respond. You know, Vance is also good at that. Vance is great at debating, by the way. I covered Vance's re-election back in 2022. I covered his debates. He's really good at it. But we need Rubio. We need Rubio to clean out Latin America, and then Vance can come in 2036. No? By the way, thank you very much, David Stores. I know that's you. Yay, David Stores. Thank you for the donation and keeping this channel alive, buddy. Thank you.
I think you said clown
Like
show
a dunk
before.
tank?
I
What
don't,
is
I don't
this?
have to tell you. I don't... I'll
I've
give
even
you
used
time.
their time. How can I answer the question? They don't even give me time. I've had to use their time to answer your questions.
Yes.
All right, whatever.
All right, so I don't need to tell you that in my community, the city that I represent, the city of Miami, you're one of the most illustrious representatives, and that we're very proud of you, not only the Cuban Americans, but the Hispanic Americans in my
Why is she
community.
leaving? I'm
So
going to answer
Oh, this is...
her questions.
I will...
Oh, she's go. Okay,
Oh,
I
it's the
got
same
it.
lady.
Well, thank you for coming.
All right, so we're going to talk about... I just want to...
That's great. Next story. Can you imagine him dealing with the press pool during his 2028 campaign? He should run. He needs to run. Anyways, next story, off to fraud now. Another bad actor caught. This person here stole a deceased relative's identity to fraudulently collect $450,000 in federal and state benefits. I believe this guy right here, Ryan Krishower, whatever. So good stuff out there. Next story. They're busting everyone. Next story. This is from the presser from today. We're going to watch this entire thing at the end of the show. But they have announced a lot of things. Okay, here's Ohio. $50 million of fraud in Ohio so far.
Partners, today we're announcing charges that were either unsealed today or over the past week against 14 defendants allegedly involved in fraud schemes targeting over $50 million here in Ohio. And again, these numbers are staggering, but just the tip of the iceberg. both here in Ohio and nationwide. Sadly, Ohio is facing some of the most significant fraud schemes in the country. Medicare fraud, pandemic relief fraud, even an international romance fraud scheme that I think you'll hear about shortly. And to meet this challenge, to meet this crisis, our response has been and will continue to be aggressive, comprehensive, and we will.
Anyways, we got it. We get the idea. There's more. They've also announced the top 7 most wanted fraudsters, ranging anywhere from, what is this, $1.2 billion, someone named Herbert Kimball, all the way down to an amount of $4.2 million from Syed Abdullah Ding Dong. This is Akash Patel here.
Our society's from. We rely on you. Our best form of information is the American public. Take a look at this top 10 most wanted. Let us know any information. There is no bad piece of information. The only bad piece of information is the one you don't give us. So call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to FBI.gov and help us apprehend more fraudsters. The last thing I want to talk about is the work of the FBI.
1-800-CALL-FBI, huh? I'm sure there's a reward in that. Next story. The DOJ, or the Trump admin, has decertified Hawaii's Medicaid fraud control unit. After 4 years, they have found 0 indictments in Medicaid surging, despite Medicaid surging. We're going to watch this entire hearing when we get over to, at the end of the show. On YouTube
Office
as well.
of the Inspector General, led by March Bell, in coordination with the task force, has decertified Hawaii's Medicaid fraud control unit. Let me explain why this is important. Every year, the United States taxpayers send $2 trillion through Medicaid and Medicare out to the states. There are conditions on the money that goes out to the states, and one of them is very simple. If states want access to this money, they have to create a unit to fight fraud in those states, led by the attorney generals of those states. We are joined up here by Dave Yost. Ohio's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit is one of the gold standard control units for fighting fraud in the United States, and that is a credit to his leadership. The opposite has been taking place in Hawaii. For more than a decade, Hawaii's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit has received millions and millions of dollars to fight fraud and has consistently been one of the lowest performing fraud units in the country. They have been the subject of continued demands to improve their performance since 2014, dating back to the Obama administration. And from 2021 to 2025, Hawaii's Medicaid funding went up 27%. Their Medicaid enrollment went up 40%. And they did not produce a single conviction or obtain a single indictment of a fraudster from 2021 to 2025.
Fired. They are fired.
And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii, to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud.
Good stuff. Should probably shut off all Medicaid payments as well. They don't want to look for the fraud? Forget it. Everyone loses their Medicaid. Next story. Trump is surging. Trump is issuing a $300 million grant to a variety of what he calls model cities initiatives. So cities that do very well in terms of cracking down on crime and keeping crime low. He's doing a $300 million grant, enabling them to expand their police services and continue to keep the city safe.
From the very first day I took office, our administration has waged the most successful war on crime in American history. Last year, the murder rate saw the single largest decline ever recorded, falling to the lowest level in 125 years. We've reduced the fentanyl coming across our border by 60%, from Washington to Memphis to New Orleans to our southern border. We are restoring law and order to America. Now we're taking our next big step to defend public safety in America. At my direction, the Department of Justice is beginning what we're calling the Model Cities Initiative to slash violent crime in major metropolitan areas all across our country. In selected cities, the Department of Justice will provide $300 million in grants to hire police officers, modernize equipment.
Probably shouldn't waste that money on cities that have AGs and DAs that refuse to prosecute criminals. Probably a good idea. Don't waste the money there. Gave it to like Memphis. You know, they'll do it right. They've been doing it. They cleaned up really good, Memphis.
Provide training and improve law enforcement. This historic funding will go to confronting substance abuse, preventing youth crime, and combating repeat offenders. In short, we're committed to making historic investments in improving the quality of life of city residents nationwide. For the next 90 days, any city or local government representing a population of more than 100,000 people can apply to take part in this exciting new program. It's amazing.
So 100,000 population and higher can apply. I hope you're going to be, I hope there are actually some requirements when they apply. Like, I don't know, a reasonable DA that actually prosecutes crime.
Tell your local representatives to apply now by going to www.justice.gov/grants. With your help, we will put more police on our streets, and we will put dangerous criminals behind bars where they belong, and we want to keep them there. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. You're
good stuff. Next story. People seem to have a big problem with Bill Pulte, Trump's new nominee to be D&I director. Here's Speaker Johnson's response to that.
On FISA, first of all, I don't think he said it's interim. It's an acting role, but he's not said that he's going to appoint somebody. So I don't think.
Well, acting is interim by definition,
always,
right?
But
okay.
Let's. If Democrats are not going to, they say they don't trust. They said they didn't trust Gabbard, and they've said they don't trust Pulte.
Watch his response. It's hilarious.
Could you pass FISA without Democrats? The answer.
The Democrats wouldn't trust Jesus.
He hasn't been nominated.
There's not a single person. He hasn't been nominated.
The Democrats would, however, trust Muhammad.
But do you? I mean, how do you handle this if you can't have Democratic votes?
They're playing political games, Jake. The Democrats are not willing to do anything, even the most simple, basic, important responsibility to keep the American people safe.
Anywho, so they don't like Bill Pulte. You can see the panic even in the rhinos. Thune and Cornyn both panicked about it. And actually, Josh Hawley actually stepped up to screw that possibility over. So Josh Hawley, the day after Memorial Day, showed up to gavel in and gavel out. You might be wondering why he did that, and it was to prevent Donald Trump from being able to do recess appointments. Basically, if the session's gabbled out for too long, Trump can do a recess appointment, and that could have put Bill Pulte on. That could have put a lot of others on. Josh Hawley came in on the day after a holiday. Everyone else is probably still hungover, still at home. He came in, gabbled in, and gabbled out. Okay? And this is not the first treasonous activity that he has done, okay? Here's what Brooke Gossett writes. Dear Senator Hawley, you betrayed us. We thought for sure you were going to help us drain the swamp and carry out the mandates we brought forth when electing Trump. On Memorial Day 2026, while the rest of America paused to honor the fallen who died defending our freedoms, you chose to gavel in a meaningless pro forma Senate session and then gavel it right back out. A 30-second ritual that accomplished exactly nothing except one thing: deliberately blocking President Trump from making a single recess appointment. You personally stood in the way of the American people's mandate. We voted, we won, we gave President Trump the White House, we gave Republicans the Senate, and we sent a clear message. Drain the swamp, confront the loyalists, and move at warp speed to repair what the last 4 years destroyed. Instead, you and the rest of the Senate club decided the dusty old rulebook matters more than the will of the voters who handed you the majority. By keeping the Senate technically in session through the sham pro forma meetings, you stripped the president of a constitutional tool specifically designed to bypass obstruction like this. So he did that. And by the way, this is his fourth strike. Okay. He has more strikes in my memory than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, here's another strike that he had earlier in the year. Hawley broke with Donald Trump on Venezuela as policy rift continues. Yeah, he was not happy with getting rid of Maduro. Yeah, him, Collins, Murkowski, and Rand Paul, and Young from Indiana, the Rhino state, where Mike Pence is from. So he's lumped in with this group now. Okay, not only that, as I can recall, Hawley voted multiple times to continue giving more and more money to Ukraine. Yeah. Oh, and fun fact, did you know that Rand Paul was backed by Venezuela's money, and that's why he had such a big problem with all this. He was the one who drafted the bill to stop Trump from doing anything in Venezuela and to actually let Maduro go. Yeah. So Hawley is part of this crew now. Okay. We unfortunately are not going to get rid of Collins because she's running against a Nazi, and the Nazi's never going to win in Maine. Murkowski, I believe we just got rid of ranked choice voting, so we have a chance to get Kelly Tshibaka in there. But Rand Paul, we're going to work on him in 2 years. Here's the problem with Hawley. Hawley's just got reelected 2 years ago. 6-year term. He's not up for re-election until 2030. By then, people will have forgotten that he's done this. So people have to remember this crap. Okay? Someone needs to write this down. Scott Presser, please write this down in the RNC. GOP, please write this down. By the way, that brings us to today's poll. Today's poll is, do you think Trump will push to primary Josh Hawley in 2030 when his term is up? 15% of you said no, this will be forgotten by then. 15% says no, Trump will be retired by then. But he can still be influential while retired, though. 48% says yes, Rubio and Vance will remember, and 23% says unsure. Yeah, I wish I was more sure about it as well. Unfortunately, Missouri, not really known to be a very politically active. The only thing Missouri ever put out that was great, by the way, was their AG. Their AG, Michael something, who, by the way, sued the Biden admin for pressuring big tech to silence information about Rona and the jabs and whatnot. So a great, and by the way, he's part of the Trump admin. He's like assistant AG of something. I don't remember what it is, but he got pulled into the Trump admin in DC. So a great AG out of Missouri. But other than that, I don't know anything about Missouri that's good. I used to like Hawley, but apparently he's a grandstander just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Terrible. Next story. Trump made this announcement yesterday in the Rose Garden, and he's apparently going to make the nomination.
He's acting attorney general. Tomorrow I'm instructing Dan and everybody else that's involved in that very complicated process, which is going to go, I think, very quickly, that we are going to make him permanent attorney general. He's acting attorney general. Tomorrow I'm instructing Dan.
He's going to be permanent. Good. We're making good choices, unlike in your first term, where you had Whitaker as the acting AG, and then you brought in Bill Barr. What the hell was that? You had Whitaker, who is currently your ambassador to, I think, NATO, and then you brought in a Bill Clinton AG, Bill Barr, and put him in office. Holy crap. That was a very big blunder there, huh? Next story. Oh, yeah, we briefly talked about this yesterday, but Jill Biden was at a interview with Whoopi Goldberg for her little new book, and Biden was like, oh, I got a question here.
Oh, Joe has a question. Like you couldn't ask it later?
Who do you love most in the whole world?
Who do you love most in the whole world? Might as well ask her, who's your daddy? This guy is all over the place. Oh, and they say Trump has cognitive issues, huh?
Whoopi.
Oh, she'd rather do Whoopi. That's gross. Have you seen her? Like, that's Whoopi. That's post-Ozempic Whoopi there. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Speaking of Trump's cognitive abilities, Representative Ching Chong here, while he was trying to trash Rubio, I'm telling you, all they do is filibuster for 5 minutes, okay? He's talking about things that are irrelevant to what Rubio does for a living. And he's like, oh, Donald Trump's got mental issues. Look what Rubio's response was.
Trump is sleeping right next to you.
No, he's not.
If Donald Trump cannot stay awake at these important meetings where the cameras are rolling, imagine what he's like when the cameras are not there.
We had a cognitively impaired president in office a few years ago. That's a cognitively impaired president, but I don't like to talk about that because it weakens America. This president we have, this is a guy that literally doesn't sleep. Okay, I've been on foreign trips with the president that he does.
Fun fact, Donald Trump only sleeps 3 hours a day for much of his life. He says sleeping is a waste of time. He wants to get stuff done.
Doesn't sleep in the whole flight.
I tell you, Rubio will probably be the only guy to fill those shoes. A guy who's this hardworking, a guy that can get this much done.
And everyone else is sleeping on the plane, and he's, wandering the hallways looking for someone to wake up and talk to.
Chuck DeVore. Poly Market polls show Gavin Newsom beating J.D. Vance to the 2028 presidency. Yeah. Now, it's either means Rubio's doing that great or J.D. Vance is doing that bad. To be fair, vice presidents don't have a role, right? They don't have anything to do by officially, right? Anyway, speaking of sleep, Prime Minister. Let me bring this up. Let's see.
Of the United States.
There's Biden falling asleep at a UN meeting right there. UN or NATO meeting, whatever the heck this is right there. That's him falling asleep right there. Where's the other one? Where's the one with him and he was in an Oval Office bipartisan bilateral meeting. Wait, hold on, where is it? Sleep bilateral. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? There's another one of Biden falling asleep there. There was another one where he was having a bilateral meeting with the Israeli prime minister. Not Netanyahu, it was the other one that was in between. And he fell asleep. A literal bilateral meeting. There's only 2 people in that meeting. You are 50% of the people in the meeting and you fell asleep. And when you're 50%, you are either talking or listening, okay? There's no reason to fall asleep. Biden fell asleep all the time, and they're making a stink about Trump, a guy who sleeps 3 hours a day, works his ass off, and he's tired. He's exhausted. I'd be exhausted too. I couldn't do what he does. I don't know how he does it. Anyways, next story. Markwayne Mullin was also in the hearing, and he was being called a racist by Al Green. And except this guy, instead Markwayne Mullin did not let them filibuster. Here we go. It gets pretty good, by the way. I'm waiting for the ad to pass by. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Markwayne Mullin was also in a hearing, except he didn't let them filibuster him.
A racist, Mr. Secretary, would do what happened to Ruby.
Are you calling me a racist?
A racist.
I'm asking a question.
Reclaiming my time, asking to shut up.
That's a pretty.
Shut up.
Shut
up. It's my time.
He just lost his seat, by the way. Good riddance.
I'm not going to let anybody call me a racist, Chairman.
I never called him a racist. It's my time.
It is, gentlemen. Will suspend.
You will not.
Tell him to shut up.
Gentlemen suspend. No, the gentleman will suspend.
No one will call me a racist. I'm Cherokee too. My family has been pretty tolerant.
I ask that my time be restored. I ask that my time be restored.
The clock has been stopped since I suspended the clock.
I will continue to interrupt as long as someone's sitting there assuming
I agree.
Me a racist.
And as I said before, there will be.
That's what I would do. I'd drag it out for 7 hours. I don't care. I'll be like, I am not a racist. 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 Oh man, I'd be a total clown representative there.
No addressing anyone's character in a negative way.
Yeah. Soon to be unemployed, Al Green, the Geico caveman. I got that from Truth Rebel there. Next story. What is this one? Ooh, this one was heated. Max Miller called out Rashida Tlaib to her face for supporting terrorists. And this one gets real bad here. Here we go. It's hilarious because she complains, asks him to strike his words from the record, and then he goes and repeats it. And refuses to apologize. That's how you do it.
Terrorist organization from the gentleman lady. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization from the gentleman lady from Michigan, and its members are butchers that you like to, hang out with to a certain extent. No nation can be fully sovereign when an armed group operates outside the authority of its elected. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we getting a little emotional?
Gentlemen will suspend.
Tlaib is one of the most controversial members.
Wait, where's the rest of it? Here we go.
Did Tlaib.
I certainly believe you advocate for them, yes. You advocate for terrorists on a daily basis.
That is true. They do chant Go Hamas at these protests. We did play those videos here.
The House will be in order.
Tlaib exploded. House rules bar members from impugning the motives of fellow lawmakers. The House decided that Miller violated the rules and was out of order. Miller refused to apologize.
The gentleman from Ohio may not speak for the remainder of the day.
Very good.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Tell me someone else repeated it.
Recognize myself for as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized for a further 20 minutes.
Going to deliver a message from Representative Miller of Ohio.
That's great. That's great.
Yes, I said it. I own it, and I stand by it. And I'd like to submit this for the record.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love this new Republican Party, I'm telling you. You know, in Rush Limbaugh's farewell letter to Donald Trump before he passed from cancer, he said one of the notable things that he said about Donald Trump and him changing America is that he made it cool to be Republican. And he did. And now everyone's taking up after him. We're not being polite anymore. We're not being nice anymore. Okay? It hasn't worked. I was a nice guy my whole life, and all it did was getting me screwed over my entire life. Now I'm a complete asshole and I'm famous. How's that? How did that work out? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? It's almost as if they want you to be polite to repress you, right? And then they fuck with you, and then they do corruption and fraud. Next story. Video shows Code Pink organizer assaulting Anna Paulina Luna. Now, it's not a big assault, but it still is. You're not allowed to put your hands on them. Yeah, Code Pink leader right there. Marjorie Taylor Greene has many pictures with her. They are best friends. And this is she here. Putting your hands on Anna Luna.
People there, they have no power.
So misinformed.
You are misinformed.
Wait,
Whoa,
you
okay.
just touched me. It was like, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. You just touched me.
All right,
You're going to
I won't do
walk
that.
away right now, or else I'm going to call Capitol Police. Don't touch me.
I won't walk away.
Oh, yeah. She, by the way, also says she is going to be pressing charges.
I was questioning Senator Rubio on Code Pink, which is a foreign-funded organization, and I've been going after FARA, etc. And so as I was leaving, they were asking questions. I don't have an issue asking questions, but when you were berating me, trying to block me from being able to come vote, it's an issue. But I continued to answer them. I was walking out of Rayburn, and as we were trying to walk away from them, I guess they didn't like what I was saying, so one of the lead organizers actually smacked me. And so at that point, I broke contact.
Can you like reenact how you were hit? If just
we already saw that. Anyways, let's get going. Next story. Scott Bessent clashed with Ron Wyden and did a nice little zinger here.
Senator,
let me hold on. Scott Bessent was also in the hearing, and again, the Democrats keep trying to tie Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, which, by the way, these leftist channels like CoffeeZilla have still not retracted their claims that Donald Trump is friends with Jeffrey Epstein and that Donald Trump refused to release the Epstein files when he's already released 3.3 million of them. Okay, they're still continuing to try to connect Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. So here's what Scott Bessent had to say to someone. What is his name? Here's what Scott Bessent had to say to Senator Ron Wyden about his connection to Epstein.
Senator Wyden has mendaciously slandered the Treasury building in an attempt to cover up his son having an investment meeting with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh! His son met with Jeffrey Epstein
to ask for funding. Thank you.
That's great. I like if you watch his hearing, he's very chill guy, but boy, when he drops little zingers, it's like when your really calm grandpa says something that's just like, oh my God, right? And he does a lot of that. And by the way, someone dug into the files and searched up Adam Wyden. He shows up 29 times, including in an email that says, thank you, Adam Wyden. Yeah. So this guy has more connections, more positive connections, positive for him anyways, with Epstein than Trump does. Trump just appears a lot because, again, he's famous, Epstein's famous. This guy's a nobody. That's why he only appeared 29 times. And all the times that Donald Trump showed up in the Epstein files, there were no deals. There were no like, hey, thank you, had a great time, love having you around. Nothing like that. Next story. President Trump's legal team has caught a Florida Republican congressional candidate who was, by the way, linked to China. Yeah, supporting super PAC using Trump's name. So he has this PAC. He uses Trump's name to raise money, but he's heavily backed by Panda Land. What's the audio for this? Oh, there's nothing. It's just stupid. It's just a mute video. Anyways, it says here, this use of President Trump's name, image, and likeness creates the unmistakable impression that Trump has endorsed him or otherwise supports Mr. Sabatini's candidacy. Mr. Sabatini has a long history of attacking President Trump. The committee may also face legal consequences if this continues. So Sabatini, this is out in Florida, okay? We're in Florida. No to Sabatini. Anthony Sabatini, no bueno. He is panda linked. Sabatini helped sue Florida's Voice News for reporting on Chinese candidate Bowen Ku's use of H-1B visa during the 2024 races. We ultimately quashed Anthony Sabatini's lawsuit and prevailed on freedom of the press grounds. We also helped ensure Bowen Kuo, who ran for the state senate, lost his race. He now owes us nearly $15,000 more in court. Probably counter lawsuit, right? Sabatini represented Kuo in the defamation lawsuit after we reported that Kuo got CCP-linked donations. Now President Trump is calling out the super PAC for promoting Sabatini and using his image, and noted that he trashed Trump on numerous occasions and has in no way received Donald Trump's endorsement. So, very crooked guy right there. Just a heads up, Florida. Next story. There's a ballot issue in Utah. In Utah, there are 9,000 Tulare County residents who received the wrong ballots.
That's right. The county clerk says that they had the right envelopes and the right people, but it was the ballots that were printed wrong. Take a look.
So this might seem like, oh, it's crooked election workers. It's not. It's actually crooked election machines. Yeah. Here's a worker to explain.
The machines are registered and sealed here in Tooele County, ready to count the Republican primary votes.
I'm super excited. I'm always happy when ballots start hitting mailboxes.
In her 5 years as county clerk, Tracy Shaw says she's seen mistakes.
Printing errors happen, postal errors happen, but a solution can always be found in the end.
This year is no exception. Around noon on Tuesday, Tracy started getting calls about the almost 20,000 ballots that had been mailed out. Nearly 9,000 were incorrect.
There's been a ballot production error that resulted in, the wrong ballot being inserted into the wrong envelope.
After investigating with the state, they learned their data was correct. It was the printer, KP Corporation.
Yeah, another liberal-run company, likely with liberal software developers, liberal engineers. A lot of DEI going on in these big corporations there. Places where I'm not welcome for being a Trump supporter back in 2016. Places that would sabotage my career because I supported Trump in 2016.
That had misprinted the ballots.
They recognize the severity of this situation.
Tracy, with the help of the lieutenant governor's office, has deactivated all the misprinted ballots. New ballots will be mailed out.
Monday is what their estimated date is.
Each ballot has a barcode on it, and this identifies the ballot for voting. Once it goes through this system, if it's the incorrect ballot, it'll go to this bin, and it won't be counted for votes.
The system.
Oh, we got a wheel, guys. Come on, work with me here. All right. Oh, great. There we go. Let's spin the wheel. Wayne Sanford has accused me of blocking him on all streams. Meanwhile, I can clearly see his chat right there. So now you're officially blocked from all streams, Wayne Sanford. Does that work for you? I'm telling you. Yeah, you accuse us of being a certain way. Yeah, no, it's just forgiven. You're not forgiven, dude. This, by the way, is his third strike. Let me show you, okay? This is his third strike. Let me show you. Channel activity, 1 hidden, 2 deleted messages. Okay, so he has lots of violations already. You're not getting, here, how about this? We're going to spin it 2 more times, okay? We'll see if you get forgiven 3 times, which I don't think you will. There we go. Let's figure out how long he's going to be banned for. You got forgiven for the first one, but you got 2 other strikes to spin for. Huh? Hey, Wayne? I'm banned from all platforms. So now you're actually banned. You weren't banned, but now you're actually banned. Wow. Good luck getting forgiven again. Oh, you got life this time. Look at that. Yeah, like that. Listen, we don't need that third wheel. Looks like we don't need that third spin. Huh? Dumb bitch.
knows which one is the live active ballot ID versus the...
Oh, and by the way, these ballots are serialized, so they're basically just going to nullify the bad ballots. So the addresses are correct, the envelopes are correct, but the wrong ballot was put in. So that's what happened. So Utah's fixing that. You know what's not being fixed is Los Angeles. Los Angeles is still counting, guys. Why are you surprised about that? We know this is going to happen. And you know who's getting most of the votes? The person in third place. Why? So that they can have 2 Democrats in the runoff. Yeah, they're still counting, guys.
9 o'clock last night. And Bass has enough to go forward. And then you have Pratt and Rahman. And Pratt has 29, almost 30%. And she has almost 23%. So he's beating her, by a pretty good bit.
Here's Spencer Pratt.
Obviously, God wanted 5 more months of me exposing all the failures of our mayor. So it's going to be a fun ride. I hope she's ready.
Are you ready?
I mean, I was born for this, clearly. People just want the truth. They don't want to get lied to. They want to know somebody's heart. And all I do is just speak from the heart. And I don't want to be a politician. I wasn't ready. I didn't know I'd be the mayor. But I know what people want now. They want somebody to speak the truth for their communities and fight for them.
So let's see how much money you can get to run hard and see how many other independent people like the founder.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Governor Ron DeSantis chimed in about the LA and California elections, and here's what he had to say.
And good evening. Right now, millions of votes are being counted in.
Oh, we don't actually hear from him. Never mind. I'll just read what he said. Governor Ron DeSantis chimed in on this election in California, and he says that Florida processes more than 10 million votes in a matter of hours. California takes days or weeks. It's been a week actually already, or sometimes even weeks, he says, to count the votes. It's pathetic and it's corrosive to our civic culture. California needs to be federally banned from doing this. Time for the Supreme Court to step in. No more mail-in shenanigans. You hear that, Amy Coney Barrett? So there are now calls, by the way, for the Supreme Court to actually step in and intervene. Here we go.
Well, what Hilton is talking about is the way California has changed its election laws as of today, right? You got 58 counties, you got 1,700 drop boxes, you got 23 million registered voters, and everyone gets a mail ballot as of 2021. And that's the way they've been doing it in California. Now you got to match the signatures, and all this takes an extraordinary amount of time. Nonetheless, 56% of the vote is still out. That dropped a little bit from yesterday. We'll explain that in a moment here. Hilton in the lead, Becerra second, and Tom Steyer third. It's my sense that all 3 of them moved up slightly overnight, maybe about two tenths of a point for all 3 of them. Meanwhile, in the mayor's race, here's where we stand. Karen Bass has advanced. You've got almost 40% of the outstanding votes still out there. And Pratt is in second place, holding his own. Nifigurama now is in third place. Some of our analysis from overnight of the late vote that's coming in tends toward the Democrat. So that would favor Rahman and would hurt Pratt if that trend were to continue. But where does it go? Carl Rove is with me now.
Yeah, that's the end of that video. So there are calls right now for the Supreme Court to step in. And by the way, there's already an active case that the Supreme Court should be hearing. It's out of Mississippi. Mississippi basically changed their election law to allow ballots to come in up to 5 days after Election Day. And people are saying the Constitution clearly says it's Election Day, not Election Week, not Election Month, Election Day. Furthermore, Election Day needs to be moved to the first Monday of November, not Tuesday. The only reason why it was a Tuesday is because back in the days, people went to church on Sunday. They needed Monday to travel into the city to vote. They voted on Tuesday and then they went home. That's the only reason why it's Election Tuesday. It should be a Monday. It should be a holiday.
The justices are wrestling with a question about whether states can count ballots received after Election Day in a case that could have an impact in nearly 30 states that allow some kind of grace period. The RNC is challenging a Mississippi law that allows ballots to be counted up to 5 business days after Election Day if they're postmarked by Election Day. Justice Alito was among the biggest skeptics during Monday's arguments.
Independence Day, birthday,
and Election Day, and they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place.
But Justice Kagan questioned the impact of that logic on practices like early voting.
It seems to me it's a rule that prevents early voting, because you're basically saying there are two things that have to happen, and they have to happen on Election Day.
Meaning the casting of the vote and the receipt of that vote. But attorney Paul Clement, representing the RNC, said the argument is that the process be consummated or completed by Election Day. A number of the justices also raised the issue of the potential for the appearance of fraud when votes arrive and are counted after Election Day. And there wind up being shifts in vote totals and how that may impact public confidence.
So hopefully good things come out of that. Next story. President Trump, on an interview with Miranda Devine, mentioned that we have information nobody thought was possible. He's referring to the 2020 election. Oh, we watched this together in the post-show watch party yesterday. And I hope they sincerely have something serious, and I hope something happens with it. I hope Todd Blanche does what Pam Bondi could not do or would refuse to do.
There's a lot of problems inside.
Look, we had a rigged election. We can't have a rigged election.
No.
You know, we can be nice about it. We can be politically correct. Oh, I don't want to say. I used to say that a year and a half ago. The election was rigged, and the cameras would literally turn off.
Yeah.
And the anchor would say, "Sir, you're not allowed to say that, you know." Now nobody ever turns off the camera because it's been proven to be rigged. Look at what happened in Georgia. Look at all the stuff that we found out. It was a rigged election. Biden lost in a landslide.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, to think that this could happen. Now, because of that, we have Russia, Ukraine. That would have never happened with me. Because of that, we had open border with 25 million, in many cases, criminal, not all.
And fentanyl deaths.
Everything.
Yeah.
He was a worse president, and we were laughed at all over the world as a country. We're not laughed at anymore. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
So
We're
how
the most
do we,
successful country anywhere.
So someone has to be punished, though, for that. So how do you do that?
Well, I
you
don't
don't
want
need to punish
into
them
it.
all.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather not get into it, but
are you confident something will happen?
I don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
let's see what happens. The election was rigged. We know who rigged the election. We know it. We know everything now. You know, we have information that nobody thought was possible, but when you get to office, all of a sudden people start giving you things. You know, it was a great, I'll tell you, 2024 was a great election. That was a lot, there's a lot of rigging going on there too. Because you know what, I wanted a landslide, but there were areas that were just rigged. I could see it.
So
rigged, in other words, rigged against me.
Yeah, of course.
So hopefully something comes out of that. Next story. Senate Republicans finally advanced the ICE funding reconciliation. This came after only Trump agreed not to do the weaponization fund, which is going to get a lot of people who were politically persecuted paid back for their losses and whatnot. So at least that's passed now. So good news there, but bullshit that he held the weaponization fund hostage in order to just get this passed. A very basic thing that they should have gotten to. See, Matt Gaetz was right. Matt Gaetz was right. They should have forced government shutdowns in Biden's term to get things done, like election integrity. No, that didn't happen. Because again, we have a bunch of cowardice rhinos out there who won't do anything to save the country. They only care about their own personal interests. Next story. President Trump is announcing a nearly $1 billion using Wartime Defense Production Act to surge American coal production. Look at that. Listen to those happy kids who are going to have more heat in the wintertime with less cost. Yeah, $425 million will go to 13 new coal plants, $75 million to an export terminal, probably for us to sell coal to overseas. $185 million for new coal plants. These coal plants are going to be in Alaska, West Virginia, and Maryland. Great stuff.
President Trump is expected to announce a plan to use $700 million in federal funds to help revive the U.S. coal industry. The president is expected to use wartime authority under the Defense Production Act to dish out $425 million to 13.
Look at that, $700 million total. Wow. $185 million to a coal plant in Alaska, West Virginia, and restarting one in Maryland. Export terminal. I guess it is export terminal, whatever that is. That's export terminal. And then $425 million in existing coal plants. I guess we're going to be funding a lot of the renovations or maintenance, right?
Existing coal plants, and $75 million for an export terminal in California.
Here's next story. The House has passed a bill to stop Trump from doing anything more in Iran without congressional approval. However, it should be dead on arrival because there's no way it'll pass the Senate. And if it does, he's just going to veto it.
15208.
Oh, and by the way, I believe this bill would be unconstitutional. The Constitution explicitly grants the commander-in-chief, that's why he's called the commander-in-chief, a near exclusive control of the military. You can't have more than one general. There's conflicting orders. Do you understand?
With 4 Republicans breaking rank, including Thomas Massey, who just lost his re-election bid. The vote would mean the president would have to seek out congressional approval for any future military action. The bill now is going to be voted on in the Senate, so we'll see what happens there. Even if it does pass out of the Senate, Trump will just veto it. So,
by the way, this is a very specific bill. It was specifically for Trump on military actions against specifically Iran. So let's say if Gavin Newsom, let's say this passes somehow. Let's say they get a veto overriding majority and this passes and Trump can't veto it. It will still allow, let's say Gavin Newsom steals 2028, it will still allow him to do whatever he wanted anywhere else in the world. Bullshit, huh? Next story. Yesterday we talked about this drone that hit an airport in Kuwait. This is video of it right there on the left. Bam! Look at that. That is awful. That is awful. Yeah, that's a big one, dude. That airport got wrecked. We show pictures of the inside. Trump responded to the attacks that Iran had on Kuwait and says a peace memorandum will immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And by the way, he was asked this during the Oval Office Q&A, and he did say that the deal is nearing probably this weekend. Iranian guards, in the meantime, says that Israel must withdraw to pre-war positions in Lebanon. Good luck convincing them to do that because last I checked, you broke the ceasefire by dropping more mines, right? We got the Panamanian ship that got hit in the side, right? Ruined a perfectly good ship there. That's a very offensive move, if you ask me. So, yeah, good luck convincing him. Next story. Poland's trying to convince Trump to build a permanent U.S. military base. We know why. It's for GDP. They want to increase more funding, more money coming into the country. It's good for their economy. But we're supposed to be leaving Europe. Secondly, why is it our soldiers? We just deployed 5,000 more to Poland. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be withdrawing from the EU. Okay, they don't like us. They don't respect us. They don't even pay for their bills. And in addition to that, Spain is giving out citizenship to any African that comes into their country. And anyone who has citizenship in Spain can go to Poland and slaughter our troops and stab your wives, military wives who live out there with them and have families in Poland with them. They're not safe anymore because of Spain. Oh, we lost a soldier in that airport in Kuwait. I thought it was a civilian. I know there's like 60 injured, but I thought it was a civilian. That sucks. Next story. Where is this? Oh, this is in the Congo. So the Islamists in Congo are also slaughtering Christians. Look at that. 1,100 are gone. No end in sight. It's never going to end. Yeah, we need to do the peace deal in Iran as soon as possible, wrap things up and move on to Nigeria, move on to the Congo. Okay, these guys are really asking for it. What they're doing is just as bad as what the IRGC was doing to their people. The difference is these people are doing it to Christians. I'm telling you, Christian Crusade 2.0 is going to go down. And you're all going to regret messing with us. Next story. We got another drug boat, guys, except this time it's not in the Gulf of America. This one is in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, look at that. Got him. Yes. If you're not aware, we are very now chummy with Ecuador. Ecuador is a country on the western coast of South America. That ship probably got attacked somewhere right around here. Ecuador, by the way, is a corridor for cocaine for all these countries here. Yeah, all these countries here, they funnel it all to Ecuador. Ecuador then sends ships. They go through the Panama Canal and they bring it to Florida. They bring it out to Europe, things like that. So that attack likely happened in this area right there. Good stuff. Good job, boys. Good job, Navy. Next story. This is Cuba right now.
Piles of trash in almost every corner of Havana.
Yeah, no gasoline, no trash trucks, no sanitariness. I'm surprised there isn't a hantavirus outbreak out there with all the rats going around. But yeah, there's trash everywhere. That's, I mean, they accepted the $100 million, grant, $100 million deal that we were going to give them, but it's still, I guess it takes time, huh? I guess it takes time for things to get chugging again. Maybe the agreement's not completely done, but they have accepted it. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a regime change because there's no support in the Cuban American population to get a full regime change. So now it's just going to be a $100 million temporary buyout to keep China off their island. Yeah. Next story. So unlike in Cuba, in Venezuela, Dan Kane, our top U.S. general, is seen here with the Venezuelan military and their generals. Look at that. Good stuff. See what happens when you become our friends? You see what happens when you get rid of China? Prosperity, peace, harmony, productivity. This is what happens. Now all the Venezuelans are going to want to go right back and start businesses and do well over in Venezuela now with all that oil money flowing around. Next story. Oh, a passenger tried to bring an explosive device on a plane. This is in Sacramento.
At the alarming scene at a TSA checkpoint, authorities say a suspect approaching the checkpoint at California's Sacramento airport wearing a scarf and latex gloves. Authorities say they then allegedly discovered an explosive device. Let's get right to our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas. Pierre, what have you learned tonight?
Well, that was a lot bigger than an M80.
David, this bizarre incident unfolding just after 9 p.m. on Saturday with a suspect.
Truth Rebels asked, what is that flag? I don't know. Now that I think of it, it's a good question. That's a very demonic flag. That's not our side though. That's their side. This is Dan Kane right there on the left. This is their side. Yeah, they got a couple of light supremacists there. That's a disturbing flag now that you think about it, huh? Yeah, a red face with a horn on it. And we were just okay with that. We just think, oh yeah, put that right up against the American flag. We're gonna be buddies with you. Thank you very much, Joshua Stores, for the donation. Thank you very much. You and your dad keeping the channel alive. Thank you so much, buddy. Next story. Oh yeah, the explosive device. Here we go.
Showing up at a TSA checkpoint at the Sacramento airport. Authorities say Kamani Jones was wearing a scarf covering his face and latex gloves. When they checked Jones's carry-on bag, they say they allegedly discovered this explosive device.
Way to look obvious. Latex gloves, a mask, and what else was it?
Authorities say Kamani Jones was wearing a scarf covering his face and latex gloves. When they checked Jones's carry-on bag, they say they allegedly discovered this explosive device, a lighter, as well as a knife, scissors, more blades, and zip ties. According to the TSA, if the explosive device had detonated next to a window, it could have caused significant damage and a loss of cabin pressure. If convicted, Jones faces a maximum of 5 years in prison. FBI says Jones has a history of paranoia. David?
Pierre Thomas.
Paranoia that causes you to bring explosives with you everywhere you go? That's weird. Next story. There's a truck driving through the beach where you're not supposed to be. There are people there. Here is said truck hydrolocking. And there's a driver. It's a woman. Oh man, we can always count on this demographic to give us the best automotive videos out there, huh? Oh, yeah, she was apparently drunk and somehow ended up on the beach and doesn't know what hydrolocking is. Hydrolocking is when your intake sucks in a bunch of water and bends your piston rods. Next story. Here's a plane. It's a Boeing. Here's a Boeing on the floor. Yeah, that landing gear didn't do too well there. Let me redo that. Where'd it go? Here's a Boeing oh, come on. Here's a Boeing plane. Here is said plane on the floor. Landing gear failure. No idea what happened. But this is what happens when you begin hiring DEI engineers, right? They just make the best stuff out there these days, don't they? Holy crap. Yeah. Didn't we just do a deal for China to buy a bunch of these? And now it's like, oh crap. Yeah, this is out of Lufthansa Airport. So, but again, this is in Europe and they have very DEI staffing, right? So we don't know who's responsible. So, hold on. So this is out of Lufthansa Airline. This is in Europe. So this is, again, Germany, very DEI country. Probably has DEI maintenance crew. Probably didn't maintain this very well. I don't see Boeings crashing in all the other conservative countries. Sorry? Last night... Oh, hold on, where is this? Last night was an NBA Finals match. Spurs versus the Knicks. A guy on the left side runs on the court to try to take a selfie with one of the players. He is immediately tackled. End of his time there. He is gone. Yeah, and then here's a video that he filmed. Here's a video that kid filmed. Look at that. He's always going to run off into the court. Look at that. Oh, you're so famous now. Still no one knows your name. I want a selfie. Yeah. Broccoli hair. Yeah. So anyways, we have more to watch. We're gonna stay live on YouTube because there's no live rates over on Rumble. So guys, remember on the main channel, if you on my main page, you can find all the other channels that I have. Frank's Funny Shorts, as well as Frank's Show Shorts. That's the new one where we're putting the political shorts on now. They're no longer gonna be on this main channel. Also Frank's Show Clips. Please hype the videos over there. We have more to watch. We've got the DOJ presser, which they announced all that stuff, the Ohio, the Hawaii stuff, and then the top most wanted fraudsters that I believe they're offering rewards for. We're gonna watch that. We're gonna watch the executive order signing and the Q&A that follows. Then we're gonna cut off YouTube, and then we're gonna go to Rumble and anywhere else. And if you're looking for the link for the watch party, links in the description. It's the 5th link. And then today we're going to be watching 3 videos. One is the first one's from China in Focus. It is about the 60 countries that Trump is tariffing because they're continuing to buy products from slave labor from China and various other countries that have slaves. And then the two videos after that are documentaries about the Tiananmen Square massacre. This day, June 4th, 1989. Where like tens of thousands of people all over China gathered in Tiananmen Square to peacefully protest, and it was festive. There's actually videos of it in this documentary here, and you know, the CCP, they're communists. They don't do protests. It's not allowed. So you know what they did? They sent the military in and killed all of them. Yeah. The most shameful piece of Chinese history right there, 1989, June 4th. So we're going to watch 2 pieces on that over on all the other platforms. Can't do those on YouTube. But for now, here is, by the way, Cash App, buy me a coffee, subscribe to on Patreon, or ways you can support the channel. You can be like Sherry and buy a membership on YouTube. It's $3 a month. Helps keep the channel alive. Also, by the way, thank you very much to the donors over on Foxhole. Ina, we got one from Ina. We got 2 from Sean Joe. Thank you very much. And then, again, thank you to the Stores family. David Stores and Joshua Stores, father and son there, for the donations every day. David Stores contributes. Thank you very much. Anyways, so here we go. Here's the DOJ presser about all the fraud.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Celia, for becoming a member. Where is it? No, not that one. This one. Thank you, Celia. Oh, it just popped up. There you go. Thank you for becoming a member. Look at that. Thank you, Celia. Nope. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
President Trump and Vice President Vance's war against fraud has come to the great state of Ohio. And this is a war that we will win. The team behind me, federal and state partners, have come together as one to battle what is a fraud crisis in this country. It has crippled our taxpayer-funded programs and robbed the American purse for too long. Under the leadership of our great president and vice president.
Thank you very much, Jojo, for the donation. Thank you, dear. Squishy, squishy. Thank you, dear.
The days of the brazen theft that we've seen of taxpayer dollars abusing the generosity of the American taxpayer is over. Our message to fraudsters is simple. With our state and local partners, the Department of Justice will be working day and night to identify you, arrest you, and imprison you. Today, the Department of Justice is announcing significant fraud enforcement in the state of Ohio, as well as a historic fraud-fighting partnership with state of Ohio officials, which is exactly how it should be in every state.
Oh, thank you very much to Gen Extra for gifting 5 memberships. Look at that. Thank you, Gen Extra. You are keeping the channel alive. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations, Jason, Metaghost. Congratulations also to Bucky and Creations, Hachisachu or Shiro. Sorry for butchering your name, and Queen Imoni. Congratulations to you 5 for receiving gifted subs. I hope we renew them a month when they expire. It's only $3 a month, and it keeps the channel alive. Thank you so much. You are awesome, Gen X. Thank you very much.
One that can serve as a template partnership for other states in this country. We welcome everyone, everywhere, to team up with our fraud division and our federal partners and our U.S. attorney's offices to bring fraudsters to justice. I want to talk about a few cases that we're announcing today, and I think you'll agree with me that some criminals have gotten so bold, so audacious as to defraud the government of tens of millions of dollars. I'm just going to give a few examples right now. It should shock your conscience. Today, we unsealed a 32-count indictment against 2 state employees and 2 other co-conspirators for allegedly billing $30 million to the government for therapeutic behavioral services that were never provided. We've also unsealed an indictment charging 4 defendants in a scheme to defraud a COVID program. Again, these programs, as we all know, were meant to benefit small businesses and individuals struggling because of the pandemic. In total, between our state and federal partners, today we're announcing charges that were either unsealed today or over the past week against 14 defendants allegedly involved in fraud schemes targeting over $50 million here in Ohio. And again, these numbers are staggering, but just the tip of the iceberg, both here in Ohio and nationwide. Sadly, Ohio is facing some of the most significant fraud schemes in the country. Medicare fraud, pandemic relief fraud, even an international romance fraud scheme that I think you'll hear about shortly. And to meet this challenge, to meet this crisis, our response has been and will continue to be aggressive, comprehensive, and we will not stop until we fix this problem. I want to emphasize something about what the cases that we're bringing represent. A unified, statewide fraud-fighting effort that's firing on all cylinders. You're going to hear from some of us today after I finish, the U.S. attorneys, federal investigative partners, state partners, and agencies that are going to move fast, they're going deep, and we're delivering results for the American people. So I want to take a moment and thank the prosecutors and agents who work these cases. They're not easy cases to work. They're not easy cases to investigate, but they're extraordinarily important to the American people and to restoring faith, trust, and justice in our systems. Also, to the leaders in Ohio, your commitment to this fight isn't just helpful, it's necessary for our success. This is an example when federal and state partners work together toward justice, our cases are stronger, the deterrence is greater, and the biggest problems facing our country, the ones we've been told are just the way it is, there's nothing we can do about it, start to look solvable because they are. I want to thank President Trump because he's told us time and time again that it is the mission of this Department of Justice every single day to be relentless in the pursuit of law and order. Americans deserve to live free of violence and fraud. Americans deserve to know that if someone lies or cheats or steals to get ahead, they will be punished, and they deserve a government that will never be taken advantage of by fraudsters. They're not just words, these are a promise that this department will keep. There's a lot of folks that want to say a few words, so I'm going to stop there, and I just want to again thank everybody behind me for being part of this fight, and it's now my honor to introduce the great Dr. Oz, who is I can tell you from my phone and my text messages, working tirelessly 7 days a week to combat what we're here to address today. So I'll ask Dr. Oz to say a few words now. Thank you.
The moral indignation that the president feels, that many of you share, prompted the creation of the task force. Many of its members are on the dais today. Vice President Vance leads that endeavor and has boldly been able to create an all-of-government effect. All of government doesn't just mean all of federal government, it means all of state government as well. And I'm here representing Secretary Kennedy and some of the work that we've done looking at the numbers that are coming out of the federal government. Because the budget of CMS is large, it's $2 trillion roughly, it means it's a big target. And foreign players and maybe even foreign governments have been taking bits and pieces of this pie for a while, but they have been weaponized. And we see that here in Ohio, and we're speaking about the frustration that many Americans feel, left and right of the political spectrum, and certainly red and blue states both are experiencing this, which is why it was important for us to be here today. I was here last week with members of the CMS team, and we came because we're investigating home health care fraud, autism fraud, and a series of different ways that the federal government is being pierced with different arrows from criminal elements that desire to suck taxpayer dollars out of the federal government and out of state government coffers as well. I was visiting a facility called La Belle Home Health. It's run by a woman, Najumi Tatsing. You may not see her here today because she's in jail. And she went to jail because she was accused and convicted of taking billing practices to a level we had not seen before. She was billing for people who are deceased. Billing for dead people is a bad look in court. And it showed at her conviction when she was accused and appropriately taken out for doing things that we find reprehensible. Now, if she was the only one, we wouldn't be here in force. Unfortunately, this area around Columbus is responsible in Franklin County for 1/3 of all of the $1.5 billion spent on home health care in Ohio. Think about that. 1/3 of all of the money spent on home health care in the entire great state of Ohio is generated here. That's 3 times what you would expect. There's a road very close to where we are, 288 home health care facilities in that several block area on that one road. Again, it defies belief. Some of these buildings were vacant. You wouldn't put anybody up in those buildings, not certainly the place that would house home health care. Now, this is a mecca for Somalian populations. It's a hub for Nepalese and Bhutanese populations. These are insular groups, but we are naive to think that practices that were felt to be commonplace in other parts of the world wouldn't come to this great country if we didn't pay attention to some of the program integrity issues which were ignored en masse with the prior administration. So today we have 3 major announcements from the healthcare part of this fraud endeavor. The first is that the state of Ohio, and I want to applaud the Medicaid office here, they will be announcing at 1 o'clock, and please pay attention to that important announcement, that they are suspending 49 home healthcare providers who have been identified as high risk to the Medicaid program. These people have billed millions of dollars to take advantage of our most vulnerable. And if you're willing to steal from folks who are down and having a difficult time, you'll not just steal their money, you'll steal their health, you'll steal their lives. And we're seeing that. No more champagne on private jets for these people, no more new cars, no more luxury endeavors and vacations. It's done. We're coming after you wherever you are. And as Attorney General Blanche highlighted, we are earnest and serious in this endeavor. We will not be daunted. Ohio Governor DeWine also sought a 6-month moratorium for all new home health care and hospice in the state of Ohio. We granted that within a day. and we hope that will help at least slow the bleeding, using a surgical metaphor, so we can get a bandage on the wound, maybe put a couple stitches in, and take out some of the folks who have been stabbing the patient of Medicaid. Second big announcement, in order to solidify collaboration, CMS, Medicare, Medicaid, and Ohio are going to launch a state-specific Medicaid fraud room. It's going to copy the Medicaid fraud room created at the federal level by the task force. The findings surfaced through this state partnership, we believe, will free us to be able to directly collaborate at a national level, getting all states to understand what the problems are within their areas and accelerating our ability to take out high-risk providers. We'll identify them and we'll enforce actions around them. The applied behavioral analysis process, it's called ABA therapy for autism, has been scandalously abused. This is, again, taking advantage of children with autism, or getting their parents to lie about whether the child has autism, or weakening the system so the kids who actually need the services can't get them anymore. There are 9 providers that were paid more than $1 million to do this last year, these ABA services. We're going to go after them. We're going to deny some of the issues. In fact, 2 of these people were denied access to Medicare already. They should never have been in the Medicaid program. The top provider earned over $3 million. That's twice the closest competitor. And remember, the average provider of autism services gets paid around $200,000. So to have someone pay over $3 million is shocking. And the war room that's created with Ohio will be opening investigations on 2 home health care providers. And this war room is going to yield huge benefits. And finally, we want to speak a little bit about the fact that we have the need to audit states all over the country to help states understand where they are in comparison to all the other states. We don't have a national effort that allows states to at least get a best practices idea from surrounding areas. So we have now, and I can announce today, asked the state of Indiana to work with Oracle Health to provide that exact set of information. So all the states now will be armed with information, for example, on high-risk providers. And the ABA therapy autism, as I mentioned before, we've asked all 50 states to revalidate these providers and other high-risk categories. Every single state has agreed. By this Friday, they're obliged to provide us with a specific plan. But if you're involved in some high-risk endeavor, these are endeavors that are unlicensed individuals, often in unsupervised settings, we want the states to go back and check who you are. We're not paying fraudsters for dishonest endeavors that hurt the American people. Now, it's my great honor to introduce a wonderful friend, all known to you as the head of the FBI, who's done a wonderful job taking this effort on seriously. And when CMS, when Medicare, Medicaid can crutch on law enforcement like we have with the DOJ and the Office of Inspector General and the FBI, it accelerates our path towards success. Cash.
Good morning. What is the FBI doing to combat fraud? It's pretty simple. We follow the money. We follow all the money. And thanks to President Trump's brilliant vision to decimate fraud across the country that has been fleecing Americans and our kids and our senior citizens for far too long, law enforcement finally has the backing to deliver like we are delivering here in the state of Ohio today. Thank you to Vice President J.D. Vance for leading the anti-fraud task force. In order to assemble this great team of individuals, you need true leadership across the country, and it starts in Washington, D.C. None of this work is possible without every single one of these individuals here and their teams at the state, local, and federal levels. It is truly a team lift, a unified effort under the Trump and Vance administration that has brought us here to just highlight some of the work that we are doing. Operation Playground Therapy is what the FBI is here to talk about today. As the Attorney General highlighted, literally tens of millions of dollars that was supposed to go to kids was stolen, allegedly, by individuals who worked in government and the private sector and thought they could fleece Americans and our treasure, our children, of the hard-earned dollars, the taxpayer dollars that we provide to support them in their time of need. Well, they got caught. And not only did they get caught, so many others got caught. Just take a look at some of the vehicles that are here as part of their ill-gotten gains and proceeds. They didn't just take the money, they paraded it around the country. And thanks to this team here, you are seeing what hard work, dedication to the rule of law, and true unified effort across all fronts when no one wants the credit and everyone wants to just do the work. These are the results that we're here to talk about today. Importantly for the FBI, and thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance's vision, he had an idea. He said, hey, you guys have a top 10 most wanted list for all gangbangers, terrorists, narco traffickers, murderers, and rapists around the world. How about we have a top 10 list for most wanted fraudsters? So, Mr. Vice President, thanks to your vision, we're here to deliver, and you see it here today. It is live officially on the FBI website. I want all Americans to take a look at these most wanted individuals and look at the amounts, the tens of millions and billions of dollars in fraud that they have decimated our societies from. We rely on you. Our best form of information is the American public. Take a look at this top 10 most wanted. Let us know any information. There is no bad piece of information. The only bad piece of information is the one you don't give us. So call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to FBI.gov and help us apprehend more fraudsters. The last thing I want to talk about is the work of the FBI and the interagency isn't just domestic. The fraudsters have created programs overseas that have fleeced Americans of billions of dollars. The FBI has led that charge against scam center compounds stood up in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, freeing thousands of trafficked workers. Just in the last year under the Trump and Vance administration and the fraud initiative, we have captured and freed $8 billion in fraud in scam centers that were stood up by the CCP and other adversaries in places like Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, and the Middle East. And we're working with our interagency and partners across the world to bring hundreds of individuals to justice. Just the other week in the Middle East, in Dubai, we arrested 300 individuals responsible for $4 billion in fraud. They prey on our senior citizens here from overseas. And this administration has made it abundantly clear there is no distance we won't travel to make sure we apprehend each and every one of these individuals. The FBI is leading the effort to scuttle these scam centers permanently, to free the traffic workers, and most importantly, to also secure our taxpayer dollars and make sure that this $8 billion and counting in scam center fraud that the FBI has delivered on so far only continues to grow. And we're going to keep doing it. I just want to thank the Attorney General, the interagency partnerships here, state and local. I've said it over and over again. The FBI's best partners are state and local law enforcement, and they're here today, and these are the results. And it's now my honor to introduce the Assistant Attorney General for the Fraud Task Force, Kyle McDonald.
Thank you, Director Patel, and good morning to all of you. Thank you for being here. The war against fraud has come to Ohio, and we plan to leave no doubt as to who will win. That will be the team behind me, federal and state partners who have come together as one to battle the fraud crisis that has crippled our taxpayer-funded programs and robbed the American purse for too long. Under President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Acting Attorney General Blanche, the days of brazen thievery of taxpayer dollars is over. With our state and federal partners, the Department of Justice is rapidly deploying a fraud-fighting apparatus that is capable of fighting fraud no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how hard. In the last 60 days, the Department of Justice has announced more than 550 fraud enforcement actions across the country, representing billions of dollars in attempted theft from the United States taxpayer. There is nowhere we won't go to fight fraud, and that includes here in Ohio. Today, Ohio's fraud-fighting team is uniting with us in historic ways to contribute uniquely to the fight against fraud. Attorney General Dave Yost, you'll hear from in a minute, is advancing an $11 million fraud action through the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. And as he concludes his service in the Attorney General's office, we thank him for his years of commitment to Ohio and wish him well in his next chapter. The Fraud Division and Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose executed this morning a data sharing agreement that provides the Fraud Division access to corporate registrant data held by the state of Ohio. This data will be used in proactive data analysis to quickly identify ownership links between clinics, labs, and billing entities that fraudsters use and hide behind to obscure control over healthcare fraud and other fraud schemes. We thank Secretary LaRose for collaborating with us today. Auditor Keith Faber continues to set the standard for state-led fraud investigations and for building enforcement capacity and coordination. His office has applied to the DOJ's Special Attorneys Grant Program to detail special prosecutors to the Department of Justice's Fraud Division, and we welcome all state and local prosecutors to do the same and follow Auditor Faber's lead. Treasurer Robert Sprague has formally joined the statewide Benefits Fraud Enforcement Task Force initiated by U.S. Attorney Gerace. His office will aim to bring critical financial analysis capabilities that will strengthen our ability to identify irregularities, prevent improper payments, and safeguard taxpayer funds. Each of these steps taken by these state leaders strengthen our ability to accomplish our shared fraud enforcement mission. The days of information silos are over. The leadership here and the willingness to innovate and collaborate is raising the standard for every other state. Ohio is proving what's possible when federal and state partners move in lockstep. Smarter detection, stronger enforcement, and real protection for the American taxpayer. The truth is, we need all hands on deck in every state. The National Fraud Task Force, the Department of Justice, and the Fraud Division will work collaboratively with anyone who is committed to ending fraud in America and saving the taxpayers' money. To state and local law enforcement, if you have something that could use federal muscle, bring it to us. We want to help. To the attorneys and the agents on the cases that are being announced today, thank you for your dedicated hard work to achieve the aims of justice. To the people of Ohio, if someone offers you a medical perk that sounds too good to be true, it is. If you see fraud or even suspect it, tell us. Your reports protect your neighbors, your communities, and your tax dollars. You can report fraud to tips.fbi.gov or in Ohio at 866-FRAUD-OH. And now to the fraudsters. You reap what you sow, and your seeds are deceit, greed, and corruption. We are resolved to till every field and turn over every rock to find you and bring you to justice. To all my partners, thank you. Let's keep going, let's keep up the fight, and let's leave no doubt as to the score. And I'll now turn the podium over to our great partner at the SBA, Administrator Kelly Loeffler.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Attorney General. I'm truly honored to be part of the President's task force to eliminate fraud. I'm so grateful for his fight for the American people on this issue, and I'm grateful to Vice President Vance for his leadership and to Chairman Ferguson and the entire team here to take on their willingness to take on this issue and the criminals that no other administration has been willing to go after. Small businesses are our biggest job creator in the country, but they're also our nation's biggest taxpayers. Like every taxpayer, they deserve to know that the programs that they pay into will be there for those who need them, not siphoned away by fraudsters who would rather steal from hardworking Americans than become hardworking Americans. Since day one, the SBA has focused our efforts on the Paycheck Protection Program, which will go down as one of the most defrauded federal programs in American history. During the pandemic, our agency delivered $1.2 trillion that was meant for small businesses, of which the Office of Inspector General deemed $200 billion was stolen, including right here in Ohio. The Biden administration chose to look the other way, giving criminals de facto amnesty at the expense of your taxpayers. But this administration is choosing accountability. Last month, the SBA referred 560,000 borrowers to the DOJ and Treasury. That's over 500,000 borrowers to start collections and prosecutions for $22 billion in suspected PPP fraud. To date, we've announced suspensions for 140,000 borrowers across California, Minnesota, and Maine, totaling $9 billion. And today, I'm here to announce suspensions for over 27,000 Ohio borrowers tied to $1.1 billion in suspected PPP fraud. As you've heard today, this task force is exposing the fraudsters, making them return what they stole, and sending them to jail. The Trump administration will uphold law and order and not protect criminals at the expense of honest, hardworking Americans. This administration is putting up new guardrails for the future, and we will go state by state to correct the past. I want to thank my colleagues for their dedication. None of this would have been possible without the President's fight for the American people, the Vice President's leadership, and this team's hard work. There is no fraud too small. And that's why the SBA is proud to help deliver justice on behalf of America's job creators. Thank you, and it's now my honor to turn it over to our FTC Chairman, Andrew Ferguson.
Good morning. We are here because President Trump decided to declare war on fraud, and the only way we could assemble a team like this, state officials, local federal officials, senior national federal officials, all to combat fraud, is because of President Trump's leadership. And he put Vice President Vance in charge of the anti-fraud task force, the point of the spear in the war on fraud, because Vice President Vance has the determination, energy, and leadership to carry this thing forward across the entire federal government along with our state partners. The Vice President has articulated a clear vision for how this war will go, a two-pronged attack on fraudsters. The Department of Justice and their partners in state governments and the Department of Homeland Security will put fraudsters in jail, and the agencies will make sure that we install safeguards so that the money never reaches the fraudsters' pockets in the first place. Today, you've seen both prongs of this attack on full display. The department getting arrest after arrest, indictment after indictment in the war on fraud. And the agencies led, for example, by Administrator Loeffler, SBA has done more work than almost any agency in the federal government to combat fraud, making sure that this money never gets back to fraudsters and the money that did go out the door is recovered. Today, I'm here to announce another major implementation in the agency part of this war on fraud. HHS Office of the Inspector General, led by March Bell in coordination with the task force, has decertified Hawaii's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. Let me explain why this is important. Every year, the United States taxpayers send $2 trillion through Medicaid and Medicare out to the states. There are conditions on the money that goes out to the states, and one of them is very simple. If states want access to this money, they have to create a unit to fight fraud in those states, led by the attorney generals of those states. We are joined up here by Dave Yost. Ohio's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit is one of the gold standard control units for fighting fraud in the United States, and that is a credit to his leadership. The opposite has been taking place in Hawaii. For more than a decade, Hawaii's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit has received millions and millions of dollars to fight fraud and has consistently been one of the lowest performing fraud units in the country. They have been the subject of continued demands to improve their performance since 2014, dating back to the Obama administration. And from 2021 to 2025, Hawaii's Medicaid funding went up 27%. Their Medicaid enrollment went up 40%, and they did not produce a single conviction or obtain a single indictment of a fraudster from 2021 to 2025. And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii, to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud. Less than a month ago, HHS sent a letter to every single AG in the United States and said, we are putting you on notice. For the first time, the Trump administration is going to take seriously the obligation that you have an effective Medicaid fraud control unit in your state. Everyone is on notice, and today Hawaii is being decertified for its abject failure to enforce state and federal law to prohibit fraud in Hawaii. And the reason this is important is because one of the requirements for getting Medicaid money for your state is to have an effective Medicaid fraud control unit. And if you don't have one, it can jeopardize the state's access to Medicaid money generally. So I want everyone in every state to look to the example of Dave Yost and Ohio. This is what you're striving for. Arrests, convictions, the protections of the taxpayers in your state and of the Medicaid programs in your state, and avoid becoming like Hawaii that has zero convictions and zero indictments to show for millions and millions of taxpayer dollars to fight fraud. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Yost, Ohio's Attorney General.
We're grateful for the resources and the interest of the federal government. We are fully committed here in Ohio to working with our federal partners to get results. Today, we've heard about several enforcement actions. We have a couple of indictments. One is a state case that was indicted just Wednesday in Butler County. We've been working on that case since the beginning of the year. And the federal case, which was indicted earlier this week in the Southern District, thanks to our partnership with United States Attorney Dominic Gervais, began in September of 24. These cases are pieced together by skilled investigators, people who have worked on this their entire career and burning the shoe leather that it takes to build a criminal case. You know, I began my career many years ago as a journalist. I've put together a story. I know what it takes to put together a story. I also know what it takes to put together a criminal case by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And it takes a lot longer to go to court with the case. I'm proud of my team that's put together these cases. In total, over $42 million just in these two cases. In both cases, the defendants, we allege, were exploiting families, supposedly providing kids with particularly behavioral services enrolled in community programs. The kids didn't even know they were enrolled in these programs, much less get any of the services, neither do their parents. Complete fraud, top to bottom. I will repeat what's already been said. If you see something, say something. This is your money that's being stolen. I want to just point out that today marks something different. I've been engaged in this fight since I was the elected Auditor of State back in 2011. Through my 8 years as Auditor of State and almost 8 years now as Attorney General, I have been doing Medicaid investigations, prosecutions. I have never had the level of interest and support from the federal government under any administration that you're witnessing here today. It's been a sometimes lonely fight against fraud, but it's no longer a lonely fight. And what's the difference? President Trump, Vice President Vance, and this team that you see arrayed here today, these senior federal officials who could be anywhere else, who have serious duties, are saying, this is the most important thing. I'm going to be here. We're putting everything on the field. I'm grateful for your commitment, and I look forward to the continued partnership as we work together for the people of this state. And David Tupler is the United States Attorney for the Northern District.
Thank you, General Yost. Thank you to everyone who's assembled here today to highlight the amazing work being done by our federal prosecutors, our state prosecutors, federal, state, and local investigators to fight fraud in this state. Our office is announcing today that we have charged 5 individuals with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to engage in money laundering. These are individuals, 4 of whom are from the nation of Ghana. 1 is a United States citizen. These defendants were part of a criminal network that devised a romance fraud scheme to obtain money by targeting elderly Americans in this country and using social media platforms. They engaged in highly advanced techniques using artificially intelligence-generated videos in order to engage people using false personas, developing close personal relationships with them, and ultimately stealing their money. Once they established trust, they used false pretenses and stories about vast inheritances of money, gold, or diamonds, and then convinced these elderly Americans to help finance bogus legal proceedings in the nation of Ghana. So between July of 24 and April of 2026, these defendants victimized over 100 people across the United States, obtaining over $15 million along the way. They then used this stolen money to buy a mansion in Ghana, diamond-encrusted jewelry, a Lamborghini, and other high-end luxury vehicles. All of those assets have now been seized and are going through the forfeiture proceedings so that they will not profit from their fraudulent efforts. To date, 2 citizens from Ghana have been arrested. 1 United States citizen has been arrested and is detained here in the United States pending trial. 2 other citizens in Ghana are awaiting extradition to this nation. I want to acknowledge the hard work done by our federal prosecutors. The FBI did outstanding investigative work as well, but we would not have been successful without additional help from our other partners, including Homeland Security investigations, Customs and Border Patrol, the DEA, and our law enforcement counterparts in Ghana. These indictments send a stark message and warning to criminals everywhere that we will not tolerate the victimization of our elderly loved ones and neighbors, and we will hunt you down to the ends of the earth to ensure that you are brought to justice and will never benefit from your criminal activity. I would now like to turn over to my colleague, United States Attorney Dominic Juris.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning. I want to start off by thanking Acting Attorney General Blanche and all of the distinguished attendees we have up here today joining us in Columbus to make these announcements. As a U.S. Attorney, I'm proud of the work that our prosecutors and the agents do here in the Southern District of Ohio. The indictments we've unsealed today are emblematic of the quality that we are capable of, and I want to commend my AUSAs and our partner agencies and agents for a job well done. Today we've got 2 cases as mentioned by earlier speakers. One, a $30 million Medicaid fraud case. The other, a $1.4 million Paycheck Protection Program PPP loan fraud case. $30 million, $1.4 million. There's no number too big or too small that we will pursue to make sure that those who steal from the taxpayers are held accountable, and as importantly, that their ill-gotten gains are divested from them. And you saw a photo earlier of some vehicles, 14 luxury vehicles seized in relation to that Medicare fraud case. A McLaren, a Bentley, Mercedes, Land Rovers, $800,000 worth of vehicles that these individuals who are charged in this indictment obtained as part of the alleged scheme in our indictment. So I'm very proud of the work of our folks in this district and what they've done, and we'll continue to do because our work is far from done. I want to assure the public that we are laser focused in this district on the problem of fraud and that we are well equipped to do the work necessary to address that problem. Over the last few weeks, in addition to these cases we've announced today, our office has worked hand in hand with our partners at the FBI, HHS OIG, and the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit from Attorney General Yost's office, along with some prosecutors from his office, to obtain a search warrant that was executed just this morning on a home health care company located in Columbus, Ohio. And while that investigation is just beginning, I'm not going to talk about any details due to that, I want to say the work that's been accomplished by our teams in that short period of time to obtain that warrant is a testament to our capabilities and the resolve that we have to combat taxpayer-funded fraud. And I believe that capability and resolve will only increase. We've announced today that we've assembled in the Southern District of Ohio a fraud task force similar to a task force that's being assembled in the Northern District of Ohio by my colleague Dave Tepfer. That task force is designed to operate similarly to how we operate in the violent crime space. We're going to identify and target fraud offenders. We're going to be intentional about that, and we're going to make sure that we're injecting a greater sense of urgency into fraud cases than ever before. So I want to thank all of our attendees here today for coming to Ohio. It's an important time to focus on fraud in Ohio. I want to commend all my staff and prosecutors and the agents we work with. And I want to thank all the state and federal agencies up here today. All of those agencies have committed to our fraud task force in the Southern District, and we're looking forward to continuing the hard work that's already been done. Thank you. I'm now going to turn it back over to Attorney General Blanche.
All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you, Dominic. All right, you just heard a lot of information. We're happy to take questions. If it's not to me, just address it to somebody else, and we'll make sure they get up here to the microphone. So the question is, how did this fraud start? I mean, I think it's been going on for a very long time. And by the way, the Department of Justice has prosecuted fraud cases for decades. This isn't a new thing we're doing. But what we realized over the past several years, there were certain jurisdictions, including Minnesota, where the compliance was so lax or non-existent that you could literally just steal millions and millions of dollars with nobody even checking, with nobody even investigating. And so when you talk about what Dr. Oz was talking about just stopping the flow of money, that's different than a criminal prosecution. That's a very basic step to say, wait a second, we're not supposed to be giving you money, putting aside whether you're committing a crime or not. And that wasn't happening. And you talk about what the SBA is doing. It's the same idea. There's compliance that we can put in place, but that we expect states to put in place. And so so this has been we call it a war, and it is. We call it a crisis, and it is a crisis because it's your money. Right? It's our money. The generosity of the American taxpayer is going out to just pure thievery. And so I don't think it's fair to blame a particular jurisdiction for the inception of the fraud, but there are certain jurisdictions like Minnesota that we have focused on, and now we're in Ohio, and it's happening in California and New York and other jurisdictions, but we need state partners like Ohio to say it's not, well, we're gonna do our own work to stop the fraud, and that's what we're hoping that being here today motivates other states to follow this lead.
Something that we hear all the time, I'm sure you guys do also, is people want their money back. Can you speak to how difficult that is, and also about how your papers emphasizing prevention because it's so much, better than the credit. I know this is from protest services, but maybe you can address about the money and about the.
It's a great question. If there is a 5-year fraud that we charge, and we, like you just heard from our U.S. attorneys, we're getting cars, we're getting jewelry, we're getting homes, we're getting cash, but we're catching it at the end. Obviously, money is spent along the way. We're not going to be able to recover everything, and it is has to be a priority, and it is a priority to when we go after somebody to make sure we do everything we can to get their ill-gotten gains. It again goes back to what Dr. Oz was talking about, though. Stop giving them money, right? So when we turn off the funds because either states or we know that whether it's a center, whether it's a program, whether it's a hospital, whether it's an individual is not qualified, that also stops the flow of money. But it is our mission, and you heard about it today in the forfeiture proceedings that are happening, to not only arrest the bad guy, but also to get every single dime that they made off of this, because we have to create a disincentive that should not be worth it for these guys to do what they're doing. And until very recently, this was a phenomenal opportunity if you were a criminal. It was unchecked, the money was unlimited, and you could go, like you heard, you can go and buy houses, buy cars, and so that's what we're stopping. Yeah, sure. Dr. Oz, want to answer that one?
We are definitely suspending payments. I'll give you one example outside of Ohio that I'll come here. 1/3 of all hospices in the entire nation, and again, hospice is a program developed 40 years ago for people at the end of their life, dying of cancer, for example, just to give them a few months of dignity. So you give up your Medicare to get hospice, a lot of money transfers when that happens. Of the 1/3 of all the hospices that are in California, in the entire nation, and actually just in Los Angeles, we have now suspended payments to almost half. Now, a few of these hospices have written AI-generated complaints, A few have generated legitimate complaints, but if we have 24 hospices that we need to turn back on again, and we've shut down, let's say, 900, that's a fairly good hit rate. And so the goal here in Ohio, and the same thing that the MFUCOs, the Medicare Fraud Control Unit here is doing, as well as our U.S. attorneys, is to look around and say, okay, where are the places where there's clear aberrations in spending? If 1/3 of all home health care is in this county, then it makes sense to suspend folks in this county, and we did that today, and we're going to continue to do that together with your local law enforcement. The Office of Inspector General takes this seriously as well. As Acting Attorney General Blanche said, we have the opportunity to claw back money, but I liken this much more to what happened with illegal immigration. Once people have come across the border and more than 10 million dead, it's very hard to get them back out again. But if you never let the border be porous, you don't have that problem. This administration under President Trump very clearly demonstrated it was just an act of desire. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. We don't have illegal immigration right now, thanks to federal enforcement of those laws. The same thing could happen in healthcare if we put our mind to it. We control our destiny. It is up to us.
The other thing that's important to note, these frauds are pretty simplistic, unfortunately. So when Dr. Oz talks about doing the analysis on these hospices, you can tell by the data which ones are legitimate. And it's true, maybe you're wrong every once in a while, but the massive amounts, when you have a particular hospice earning, $30,000 a month and another one earning $300,000, and they're the same size, there's something's not right there. So, what? I'm not going to speak to what state officials here have said. I can only tell you about what we see and the results that we react to. What Colin talked about earlier about needing federal and state to work together in every state. When we had the opportunity to come here, when we saw the results that were happening here, we showed up here as opposed to anywhere else because of what we're seeing out of the Attorney General's office, state and local partners. We signed an MOU this morning that's going to allow us to share data. So I guess a local politician can talk, but then we can have people that actually do and act, and I'll take the do and act over just somebody talking any day. Yeah, go back. In the very back, yes.
Thank you, Acting Attorney General Blanche. I have a specific question about whistleblowers that are terrified of talking about fraud and reporting it. In the state of Ohio, several of them, almost a year ago, had evidence of widespread fraud, came to me in December because their offices, like the AG's office, that would not provide protection. This was exposed in terms of millions of dollars of fraud, including providers billing. What can we do to strengthen that, to make sure that whistleblowers can come to state agencies because we don't have strong protections here? And then what can we do for better access for these public records? Because it's been 5 months since Ohioans have yet to see how much we're spending on home health care services, and that's a direct block from the governor's office. So what can the feds do to give us transparency? Because that's really what Ohioans are demanding today.
So I think that when it comes to data sharing, transparency, access to records, sharing information, right? So it's one thing if a state agency has it, and it's another thing if that information actually gets to the right state partner or the right inspector general or federal partner. We cannot win this fight against fraudsters unless we work together. And by we, I mean all the federal partners. Like that means the Department of Justice working with the folks on this stage. It means the Department of Justice working with AG's offices. And so anytime you have anybody along that important path that stands up and says, we're not going to do it, or we have an objection, we're not going to share information, it makes it more difficult. We're seeing that in Minnesota. Yet the governor of Minnesota happily say they were cooperating with us when we were executing dozens of enforcement actions around the state. When the truth is, he's suing us. He's not cooperating with us, okay? And so you can actually talk and say things like we'll cooperate, or you can do things like cooperate. And so again, going back to the question earlier, the reason why we're here is not because of talk and not because of what some politician says, but what is actually happening here. And so that's what look, Colin said it, and it's true. We will work with anybody. Director Cash said the same thing. If you have information, tell us, and we'll work with it. So, other questions? Second row, orange.
You suggested that these schemes were previously ignored by the previous administration. How often are these providers audited, and how is that process changing?
Well, I think I can let the individuals speak to that about how often. It depends on the program. It depends on the state agency. We put a lot of trust in state governments to do the compliance and the auditing. Some states do a great job. You just heard about Hawaii. And by the way, we pay for it. You pay for it. Our tax dollars pay for it. So when we ask a state to spend the taxpayers' dollars wisely, we give them the tools to do so, financially and otherwise. And when we say that that the last administration was asleep at the wheel, it's because they were just letting it happen at these state levels. So when you talk about what Ferguson talked about, hey, we are going to send letters to every state saying you're on notice. That's what we should be doing. That's our job, to say we're giving you money. We want to make sure you're spending it the way you're supposed to be spending it. And if you're not, we're going to stop giving you money. We're going to decertify you, and you're going to have to come back and earn it. So we're reflecting on the very bad things that happened for many years, but we're done with it. We have a task force, we're focused on it every day, and we're moving forward, and we're already seeing extraordinary results in just over a month, 2 months, and the results I fully expect we'll continue to see. Go ahead. I'm honored and humbled that the president indicated he was going to nominate me today. I was with him last night at the dinner when he said that. I was confirmed a year ago to be the Deputy Attorney General. I still am the Deputy Attorney General. I will work with the senators. I have a good relationship with the Senate on both sides. I don't say no to phone calls. I'll meet with anybody that wants to meet with me. And I think the work that this department has been doing since President Trump took office, if you look at any stat across the board, it's much better. We're much safer. Our communities are better off. Drugs are coming off the streets, and that's what President Trump expects, and that's frankly what I think everybody in this country expects. So I'm looking forward to working with the senators and getting them the information they need through the confirmation process. Last question. Yeah. I can let others speak to that, but don't worry. I mean, the American people, the American government is extremely generous, and we want to help those among us that need financial help or services. That's why we have these programs. They're good programs. Nobody up here has said that having programs to help families with autistic children is a bad thing. So if you are a parent or somebody who works or runs a center that's doing the right thing, you ought not worry, because what we're doing is actually protecting you. What we're doing by going after the people that are taking advantage of the money and the programs that Congress has put in place and that the president fully supports, is we are making sure that the money goes to the right people. So I don't know if that's true. I think that people that are doing the right thing and parents that are doing the right thing and businesses that are doing the right thing are not worried. They're sleeping well at night because they know that we're not targeting them. We're not targeting people that are doing it right. We're targeting the criminals that are doing it wrong. Okay. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming today. Again, as we end, I want to thank the people on the first row and the second row here. This is a good day for Ohio, even though we're talking about crimes and fraud and stopping it. And so thanks to our partners and thank everybody for being here today. Thank you.
right, let's go to the Oval Office.
It really never.
He signed executive.
We have a big day today because this is, as you probably have been watching. So from 1922 to present, it really never worked. It leaked and it was bad, and it looked terrible. It was supposed to be beautiful. It was opened in 1922, and it always leaked, and it was a problem. It's called the Great Reflecting Pool between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. And right in between is almost 2,500 feet long. I could show you, it would be like the tallest building in the world laid on its side, and the building wouldn't reach it. And today it gets completed. The pool gets completed at 4 o'clock, and the water will start to flow in, and it won't leak because it's done properly. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be American flag blue. It's the color we picked. And I think it'll be something amazing. It's never worked. A great concept that never worked because it always leaked. They used stone originally, and the stone leaks because it's got a lot of crevices. And we have a very special material that we used, and we'll do this for a tiny fraction. You remember President Obama tried to do it, and it failed miserably. They spent over $100 million between him and Biden. They spent much more than $100 million, and it never worked, and it was filthy dirty. We took out 12 truckloads of garbage out of this pool. It was just rotting and terrible, a terrible thing for the country. So we have many monuments and fountains all over Washington, and we're just about completed with all of them. The fountains are all working now, 28 fountains. And as of this moment, just about this moment, a couple are going to be a few days longer. And we went on a real kick. Some of the most beautiful fountains in the world, but they haven't worked in 30, 40 years, most of them. As you know, you saw the one in front of the station. Union Station was horrible, and now it's beautiful. It was all covered in graffiti. But this would be the big one, because this is, again, could you give me that picture of the how it compares in size to the biggest buildings anywhere in the world? It's sort of amazing. So we're very proud of that. We're proud of a lot of things we've done, but this is something. So Washington now, as you know, a very safe city. It's considered a very safe city. It was a very unsafe city 14 months ago. Now it's a very safe city, so we're very proud of that. But it's also become a beautiful city. The encampments, the homeless are no longer sitting in the middle of the park. The level of beauty of the city is incredible. We regrassed many of the areas. We're really doing a job at Lafayette Park, which is really the entrance to the White House. And that's going to be completed very shortly, and it'll be incredible, as it was originally envisioned. Most of it we're doing as originally envisioned. And if you walk across the street to Lafayette Park, you'll see something that's incredible. It's going to be, we'll have it open before July 4th. This, we wanted to get it open before July 4th. On the reflecting pond, or the reflecting pool as some people call it, very important to us was the longevity, having it so that it's not closed every day. All these are, I just had this done. You're getting a first glimpse, but that's your size compared. So those are compared to, those are among the tallest buildings in the world, including the Empire State Building, World Trade Center, Sears Tower, Chicago. So if you lay it on its side, you'd take 2 or 3 of them to fill it in, because the width is almost 200 feet wide. And actually much more than 2,000, close to, including everything, it's about 2,500 feet in length to the end. And it's going to be beautiful. It was a great concept that never worked because they couldn't hold the water. Now they hold the water. For a tiny fraction of the cost, we did a fantastic job. And Department of Interior was amazing. Doug Burgum, really absolutely amazing. And you can have something you can be very proud of, and it'll last for 50 to 100 years before you have to do anything with it. Very strong, powerful substance that we use. And we picked a color called American Flag Blue. We had color choices. And before it was just gray. It was the color of concrete and stone. So it's going to be really special. I thought you'd like to see it. And the work ends on the pool. We also did a lot more than we anticipated. We did all of the sidewalks outside of the pool where people walk or they stand. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech with 1 million people. I had the same amount of people. Actually, I had a little bit tighter. It was a little bit tighter. They said he had 1 million people, and I had 25,000 people. And yet, if you look at the picture of comparison, the exact same location, the exact same pool, except now the pool's clean. It was filthy dirty then. But it was amazing because that was my first glimpse into politics. I made a speech, and I had more people. In other words, you put the picture side by side, which we have. And they said, I had 25,000, he had 1 million, but I had more people. They were tighter. My people were tighter. But these are minor details. That's what I said, well, wait a minute, there's something wrong. But this is a very famous place, and it should be treated properly. A person came to my office, a very substantial person from a foreign country, another country, and said, the Washington Monument, the Lincoln, you know, you take a look at the Washington Monument, beautiful, Lincoln Memorial, he said, but the walking in between was disgusting. The thing was loaded up. We took 11 or 12 dumpsters, trucks, full of garbage out of there that they were shoveling, and it was there for years under the Biden administration. Again, Biden and Obama, if you combine the money they spent, it was over $142 million. And they got nothing, as usual. So I'm very proud of it. Maybe I shouldn't say that before it opens. Maybe I'll open it. It'll look like a sieve, but it's not going to be. I'm very good at building things and constructing things. So I hope you're going to go take a look at it. The sidewalks are being sandblasted. The granite's on the outside. They're granite. And that lasts on a strong stone. And that's being sandblasted. It's going to look like really something beautiful. It's going to be brand new. It's got a lot of life. So just enjoy it. Rodney Scott is here, along with Peter Navarro. Peter's been with me for a long time, knows more about China than any human being on earth, except for, I would say, President Xi knows a lot more. But other than President Xi, Peter's probably in second place, and certainly having to do with trade. And but they're here to talk about something else. And Rodney, if you would, please.
Sure. So we're talking about rolling out a customs EO. Why is that important? Basically, it's America first in the trade environment, like we've been doing on the border. People are used to the illegal immigration, the narcotics. We've locked that down. This is literally taking the same principles and applying them to trade to protect American industry. Different countries and different people are undercutting our import-export rules, the tariffs, to literally undermine American businesses. And we're going to put a stop to it in the same way. We are going to increase the amount of data we have, so that we can actually make conscious decisions about who and what comes into this country. And we're going to start holding people accountable. So we're literally going to use the rules that are in place to a certain extent and then make some recommendations for legislation going forward. But we're going to start holding trade accountable for bringing threatening things and threatening products into our country, just like we have on the rest of the border. So Customs and Border Protection gets a lot of attention for the border wall, everything else. This is going to be basically the equivalent in the trade environment.
And sir, you did a miracle when you came in. You shut that border down in a matter of days to what had been a flood of millions of illegal aliens. And a secure America is a safe America. What we're going to do here, the EO you're going to sign, that's about a $20 to $30 billion a year EO you're going to get, because we are going to crack down with this detective border that CBP is putting in innovatively. We're going to crack down on the fentanyl. We're going to crack down on the unhealthy products, the counterfeits, and all the tariff evaders. So this is a message to the world today. When you sign this, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and this is what Donald Trump does. He secures our borders, and not just physically, but in terms of trade. The new customs border is going to be awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. You know, we had millions of people pouring through our border. And when I got here, and it happened twice, but the first time was a lot easier because it wasn't nearly as bad as this. But in 2016, we had a bad border, really a bad border. And pretty quickly, we made it very good. We started the wall. I built over 1,000 miles of wall Without that, you could have never done it, no matter how good you do. The wall has been, remember the Democrats, I call them, but the Democrats said the wall doesn't do anything. They said, no, walls work. Two things, everything else is obsolete. It gets obsolete quickly. Two things, wheels and walls. They've been here for a long time. A wheel and a wall, you'll always have. Other things, your computer's going to be obsolete about 2 days after you buy it. But wheels and walls, they work. And we built an incredible wall that stretches more than 1,000. Think of it, 1,000 miles. And without that, we would not be as successful. We're building now additional areas because we need some additional wall in certain areas. But we had millions of people, 25 million people. I think it's more than that, but 25 million people came in during the Biden years, the Biden disasters. And we stopped that. We stopped it down to zero. Hard to believe, but the numbers come out. Every month they come out 0, 0, 0. People don't come anymore because they know they're not going to get through. So we had caravans with 10, 15, 20, 25,000 people coming up from countries. And remember, I know these people. I know the leaders of the countries. They're smart, and they're cunning, and they're streetwise. And they would put their people that were from prisons in there, and they would put their murderers in there, and they'd put a lot of bad people, and they'd also put people that just didn't work. They'd put all of their welfare recipients in there, and they'd send them into our country, and all of that stopped. And many of those people are now brought back. Many of the murderers, 11,888 were murderers. I say it all the time. 50% of them murdered more than one person, 2, 3, 4, 7 people murdered into our country. They let them into our country. It's a sin that should never be forgotten. So it's a much different country right now. We're respected by everybody. Everybody in the world respects. We just got back from China, as you know. Some of you were with us. And President Xi was great. And he said, you're a respected country, respected all over the world. He said, you did it so fast. We did it in a very short period of time. This country was a laughingstock all over the world. For 4 years, we were a laughingstock. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the most successful country in the world. So this is very important what you're doing, and I'd like to have Will just say a few words about it specifically, please.
Yes, sir. As Rodney and Councilman Navarro said, this is an executive order on strengthening customs enforcement using new technologies and new approaches. The idea here is to ensure that importers of record, other people moving goods across our border, are accurately reporting what they're bringing in, that contraband, that illegal goods aren't being brought across the border, and that goods being brought in are being accurately accounted for purposes of duties and tariffs and all of the other things we require of importers of record. But this executive order will launch a series of bold new steps that I think we as an administration believe will result in the tightest, most controlled border in American history, following on, obviously, your success in closing the southern border and stopping the scourge of illegal immigration into the country as well, sir.
So, Peter, what kind of money do you think this involves in terms of savings to our country?
I will guarantee you the first year will be at least $15 billion, the next year $25, and out there's $80 to $100 billion that the tariff evaders are doing. Plus, sir, we're going to stop more of the fentanyl coming in, and we're going to crack down on counterfeits. This is good for America. This is good for the people that elected you. It's good for the country.
And we have fentanyl coming in 59% less. Cut it by a number that nobody thought was even possible. We're going to get it a lot lower than that, but we have it. And we did this in a very short period of time.
This is going to be a great one, sir.
You didn't have the same.
It's a moneymaker for us, and CBP has been doing a really great job innovating on this, sir.
You've done a fantastic job. Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Okay, we'll start one. Oh, that's a good one. That's a nice one. Okay, What else do you have?
This is another executive order on reforms to the federal workforce, sir. Currently, with respect to many policymaking positions in the departments and agencies across government, we lack the ability, because of existing personnel rules, to effectively discipline or promote people who are in policymaking roles. This executive order follows on a number of previous executive orders. The end goal is making the federal workforce more accountable and ensuring that people, particularly in policymaking roles, aren't unaccountable to the wishes of the administration.
And the reason for this was what? Whose idea was that?
James Shirk, who's here from Domestic Policy Council, can speak to that.
Would you like to say something? Come on, you did a great job of this. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. It's been a long-standing problem that it's almost impossible to fire a federal employee, even in cases of serious misconduct. And as a result, if you have employees who are trying to undermine the wishes of the American people by pushing their own agenda or just incompetent at what they're doing, agencies have a long-standing difficult time getting rid of them. And that's a particular problem if you're in a senior policy influencing role where you're controlling the policies of the entire agency. What this does is basically treats those employees like private sector workers. They're going to be hired on the basis of merit and competence, but if they're messing up, then they can be removed quickly rather than taking a year longer to get rid of them.
That's great. And you were very much involved in it?
I was, sir.
This guy's central cast. He's like perfectly casted. I'm best in the world. You couldn't have done that any better. Were you nervous?
A little. Thank you, sir.
Would anybody else like to say anything? About either one? What about you? Come on over here. Come on. Can you top him? You don't have to. Thank you very much. Great job. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this customs reform EO is a long time coming for us. It helps us solve problems that have plagued the customs system for many years. We've had a system where people have basically been able to hide behind shell companies. They move from one to the next, and then we can't go after them. This EO really enables us to crack down and hold people accountable.
It's so important. I know you took it so seriously. See how serious they are? I mean, there's a love of the country. This isn't like normal stuff. These are the smartest people in the world. They can do anything they want. They can have any job. And they love this country. They just want to be here. And they hate what you saw. And you fixed it. Thank you very much. All of you. Anybody else? Anybody? Only if you want. I'm not going to call anybody. Anybody? You don't have to. They covered you well, right? I don't know if you could do any better. Thank you very much. That's a great job, fellas. It's a big one. Okay, thank you. Pulitzer Prize winner over there. I got the great Pulitzer Prize winner. Okay, thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Do you have any questions of this? Thank you, Peter.
Mr. President, given Iran's attacks on Kuwait, this latest attack on Kuwait, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Well, you know, there's a reason for everything. And we hit them pretty hard the night before, and actually last night. And when it was explained to me, I said, all right, so we'll do that. But we've been hitting them pretty hard, a little bit. So there is a reason for certain things, and there's usually a reason that sometimes makes sense. But they did something, not a big deal. We got it, we nipped it in the bud very quickly, as we do. We're the greatest military in the world. But some people would say they were slightly provoked because we took a strong action for a different reason. So they were reciprocating. Yep.
Mr. President, can you explain?
I hear the negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
Mr. President, yes,
It could happen. I mean, if it happens, and it might not happen, you know, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend.
Mr. President, yesterday.
How do you define ceasefire?
Pretty much the way it is. It's a different part of the world. You know, I'd say in that part of the world, ceasefire is when you're shooting in a more moderate manner.
Mr. President, yesterday you signed.
It's not bad, but it's true. I mean, it's a ceasefire there is much different than a ceasefire in other parts of the world.
Mr. President, can you explain why you decided to drop the anti-weaponization fund?
So I love it. I think it's so important. people were, this is a victim right here, but not only a victim, he was also a student of it. What happened to great people, great American people, the way they were victimized, the way they were savaged. You have suicides, they killed themselves, they went bankrupt, they were weaponized by the Biden administration, by a bunch of thugs, including Obama people, and like nobody's probably ever been. I mean, I can think of maybe 2 instances in this country where they've had it to somewhere that extent. I'm not even sure if it was so much. They were put in jail for long periods of time. They were accused of things that never happened. They had prosecutors that were radical lunatics, and their lives were destroyed. And frankly, we had a lawsuit that against us on the weaponization, where the judge, a radical left judge, ruled against it. And we'll see how that all works out. But a radical left judge ruled against it. But these people, their lives have been destroyed. Their families have been destroyed, many of them. I'm not just talking about a few people, many of them. I'm one of them. They raided my house, Mar-a-Lago. That never happened. Nobody ever thought of anything like that. It turned out that it was a total fake. Everything about it was fake and corrupt. We have all the information. You know, the good advantage to sitting here is we can get information that you wouldn't get by what we have and what we are going to be showing over the coming weeks and months. You're not even going to believe. Some of you will believe it. Like CNN will believe it because they knew what was going on. They're crooked as hell. CNN's a very corrupt organization, but with a corrupt reporter standing right there. Never smiles. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman, never smiles. I never see a smile off her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes. Like she has hatred because we have borders, because we have a strong military, because we cut our taxes, because we do things that everybody wanted, and then we win our election in a massive landslide. We win 87% of the counties in this country. Nobody's ever heard of a thing like that. And that's because we're doing the right job. And we took a detour down to Iran because we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon under any circumstances. We can't let that happen. So the reporters should be happy. They shouldn't be unhappy. They should be very happy. Because you know what we're doing? We're saving our country.
Yes, but 2 questions. One on Iran and then one on your birthday.
Okay.
We will. The first one is, are you concerned at all that the IRGC could sabotage any potential deal? And then the second one is, you have a birthday coming up. I won't say which number, but it's a big birthday. So you're going to blow out you're going to blow out some candles on a cake, hopefully. What are your wishes that you'd like to see accomplished for the next year for the United States and your presidency?
Well, I'll go in your order. Anything can happen, you know, when you're dealing with Iran, but when you're dealing with other countries. But that's a very volatile part of the world, probably the most volatile part of the world. The people are volatile. The leadership, you see what's going on. We've gone through 3 teams of leadership. It's been we're military. There's never been a military like what we have. We could go another 2-3 weeks and just wipe everybody out. I'd rather not do that. Very easy to do. They're ready to do it. They want to do it. They want to do it. But if we can get something down in writing which will accomplish the same thing without killing everybody, I'd like to do that. Most of my people, I think, would like to do that. Some people wouldn't, but most of them would. But we had to take a detour as far as wishes for, and I'm very proud of that detour, you know. By the way, just to finish off on that, we had the strongest stock market in history, and I said we have no choice, we have to do it. I knew it would affect it, but I was very happily surprised when I saw that today we hit another stock market high. I mean, we have the highest stock market in history with a military conflict going on, or a war. Some people call it war, some people call it a military. It's not a big thing for us. We have a great military. It's not a big thing for us. But if I didn't do that, I spoke to people like Peter, great financial people, Scott and Howard and lots of others. I said, we just hit the greatest stock market in history. Everyone's 401ks are the highest they've ever been. Everybody's making a lot of money. Costs are coming down. We took over the highest cost and the highest inflation in the history of our country. Costs are coming down. Everything's good. And I hate to tell you this, but we've got to take a little detour and go down to a place called the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we're going to have to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. That's what we've done. And they've agreed to that. By the way, if they signed the agreement, they will have agreed to, we will not have a nuclear weapon or bomb. We will not develop one. We will not buy one. Originally it was we will not develop. I said, what about if they buy? That went into a 2-week negotiation. But in the end, we got that. Now, we got it if they signed the paper. In theory, they're pretty close to signing a paper. We've actually gotten along with them very well. And you know what you saw for the last few nights? It takes two to tango. You understand that. We hit them very hard on something else, unrelated. And so they were responding. But, and not very strongly. As far as birthday, as far as wishes, I want to just, we have a phrase, I think it goes down, I would think, in the history of our country, maybe the history of the world, is the greatest slogan or phrase ever. Make America great again. That's all I want. I want to make America great again. I think we've come a long way. I think we're the most respected country in the world right now. By far, the most respected. President Xi told me, I was talking about, he's a friend of mine, he's a good man. I hate to say it because the press goes and they say, oh, we called him a good man. He is a good, he's for China, I'm for the USA, It's like one of those things. But we do very well now with China. When I came here, we're not doing well with China. My first term, when I inherited that, it was like what China was doing to us was incredible. I don't blame China. They took advantage of stupid people, really stupid people. So we're doing great. But the phrase, make America great again, that's all I want. Very simple phrase to think of. And I think it's the greatest in the history. I would say that's probably the greatest phrase in the history of the world, not only here. There's never been anything like it. Make America great again. That's what I've done. And we've made it great. In fact, in a way, I want to use it because I would never give it up. MAGA, it's too good. It's too good. It really is the Republican Party. That's why we're doing so well. That's why we, if you look at the Republican Party from before I came till now, this is a much different party. It's a much bigger party. We have many, many more people. And I think the thought, the mind, the thought is much different than it was 10 years ago. It's been, it's amazing. A much more powerful party, much different party, and a much more impactful party. Thank you very much.
Two questions on Iran.
Go ahead.
First, you said last week that the U.S. would go in and dig out the buried nuclear material in
with them.
With them.
Right.
Did
That's possible.
Iran actually agree to that?
Well, it depends on what day you're talking about. They did agree, and then sometimes they agreed. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's one of the things we talk about. It's very overrated. I'm the one that overrated it. I thought, to me, it was important. To other people, it's not important because those beautiful B-2 right here, the B-2 bombers, they obliterated. When CNN said maybe it was an obliteration, they knew. Before the pilots even came back home, before anybody saw the site. But then the Atomic Energy Commission went. They said it was obliterated. That stuff is buried underneath a mountain that virtually collapsed. It's very, very hard to get it. But nevertheless, I want to get it. We're the only ones, us and probably China are the only two countries that have the equipment where you can do that. So, I want to get it. We have, at different times, they've changed their mind a couple of times. But as it stands now, we will go in at some time in the not too distant future. It's very safe down there. We have, with Space Force, we have cameras. Every angle of those three sites are being watched at all times. If anybody went there, we'll see exactly what's happening, and we'll blow it up a little bit further. But as far as getting it, the B-2 bombers did a job like nobody's ever seen. In the night, with no moon, dead darkness, at 1 o'clock in the morning or so, they dropped those bombs, the biggest, just about as big a bomb as you can ever find, and it went down air chutes. It was hard to believe that they can do the technology. It followed a beam right into the air chutes, exploded. Very hard to get that material, but I still nevertheless want it. And I don't want to do it if we're in conflict. I don't want to put men in that kind of danger. I remember Jimmy Carter had some bad problems in Iran with the hostages. I don't want to ever put our people in that kind of danger. But when it's over, as of this moment, it's agreed that we will go in with them. we will get it and we will destroy it. It will be destroyed.
And sorry, I have a follow-up, Mr. President. My second question. Is it possible to get to a deal with Iran, whether to go in and do that or to open up the Strait of Hormuz without seeing an Israeli cessation of their hostilities in Lebanon?
I think it would. We're trying to separate it. I mean, you look, it's a very different kind of a thing. We actually spoke with Hezbollah for the first time ever. We didn't know they spoke. And they agreed yesterday they're not going to shoot. Israel's not going to shoot. We're just going to see. But I'd like to separate it. I'd like to have it a separate thing because it is separate. But Israel, hey, look, they've been a great partner. Bibi Netanyahu's been, for me, a great partner. For other people, not so good. For me, he's been very good. We were very effective, what we've done. And they needed us. They couldn't have done it without us. Couldn't have even come close. And they needed us. And they got us to help them with a real problem, because Iran was a real problem, a big problem, a worldwide problem, because they wouldn't have stopped with Israel. They would have blown up the Middle East. And you saw that by the rockets. All those rockets that went to the five, mostly for the most part, the 5 countries outside of Israel, those rockets were aimed there before we hit them with the B-2 bombers. They were going to blow up the Middle East. They were going to blow up Israel, but they were going to blow up the Middle East. And I stopped it, and I'm very proud I stopped it. And we also stopped it in the first term when I terminated the Iran nuclear deal penned by Barack Hussein Obama. It was one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. And this has no relation. I like these morons, these Democrats, D-U-M, Democrats, that go on television and say, oh, well, this is just like the Obama deal. This is the exact opposite. This is no path to a nuclear weapon. That was an absolute path to a nuclear weapon that you couldn't have done anything about. This is the exact opposite. They gave billions and billions of dollars to Iran, including $1.7 billion put into a Boeing 757 with the seats taken out because there wasn't enough room if you left the seats, with $1.7 billion in cash taken from the banks in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, and flown to Iran, 1.7 in green cash, and then tens of billions of dollars given to Iran by our government. Frankly, they picked the wrong country, but maybe we're going to be getting along with Iran. We're going to find out. You know, there is a good possibility, I think, because without the bombing, that wouldn't have worked. Without the blockade is the most powerful thing. I think the blockade maybe has more impact than the bombing has. But the blockade that we have, the naval blockade, is incredible. Now, one ship has gotten through, unless we wanted it to, and people respect it a lot, and we'll see. But, you know, there's a chance if this really worked out, they could rebuild. You know, it used to be a very, very good nation. You go back, I have friends that used to, old-timers, they used to go there and they used to do well. They used to build in Iran. They built apartment houses and they built office buildings in Iran. Hard to believe, right? But there's a chance that maybe that comes back. But whether it comes back or not, I think we have a very powerful deal that we're negotiating. The exact opposite as the Obama deal. The Obama deal was a disgrace. It gave them a nuclear weapon. We do the exact thing. We, under our deal, they will never, ever have a nuclear weapon. One of the other things that happens, and this is important, but there's nothing more important than taking away the capability of a nuclear weapon from Iran.
Mr. President,
wait. But one of the other things that's important, and very important, is that immediately upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding, the Hormuz Strait will open. And it'll open up quickly, and we've already had our minesweepers there. You know, we're sweeping, as you probably have heard. And these are underwater minesweepers. They're great, amazing technology. They're underwater because usually when you're looking for mines, that usually means you have some dangerous characters out there. That's why. So we're underwater, but we've swept mines, and we've gotten most of them, we think. So, but the Hormuz Strait will open immediately upon signing. Now, that's subject to a couple of areas being cleaned out also of mines, which we don't think there are any. So it'll happen very quickly, and we'll take the southern route anyway. But immediately upon signing, we open up the Hormuz Strait.
Excuse me, Mr. President, just to clarify on what you were asked earlier,
Is the $1.8 billion DOJ fund dead or is it on hold?
It's, I'd have to ask the lawyers, I don't know. I know one thing, the weaponization, are you talking about the weaponization fund?
Yeah, what's your decision?
The weaponization fund, as far as I'm concerned, was a beautiful thing. It was something I didn't make it, but I heard that. I thought that was the greatest thing because people like you have abused our people so badly. The fake news like CNN, like the New York Times and like others have abused our people. Wait a minute, be quiet. Have abused our people so badly, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You used to be a conservative. She was a conservative from Alabama, can you believe it? But CNN, in particular, CNN does such false reporting. But now they have new ownership, so maybe it'll straighten it out. I doubt it, but it's hard to straighten garbage out. But CNN has abused, and others have abused so badly. People, these are people that are great people that were destroyed. Their families have been destroyed. Many suicides. They committed suicide. People that went there with love. They went there with love. You know, when I made that speech early in the day, tremendous crowd. I hate to say because they'll say, oh, I was wrong on the number, but I believe it's the largest crowd I've ever spoken to by twice. The biggest crowd, I think, bigger than the inaugurations, bigger than anything. And there was so much love and friendship. It was the most amazing thing. People were crying. They were like, wait a minute, let me finish. And those people have been abused by you and by others and by the politicians, by the Democrats. They're dumb people. They want to have open borders. They want to have transgender mutilization of your children. They want to have men playing in women's sports. They want to have high taxes. They turned down, they fought us on the tax bill, and they fought us because they want people to pay high taxes because they're crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you. It's a shame. Yeah, go ahead,
Mr.
Liz.
President, thank you so much. On communism, today you have some stern words on communism.
I just wrote that. Did you like it? Did you think it was well written?
Well, it's certainly very meaningful to Americans.
Well, I'd read it. Do you want to read it? Do you have it? You could read it. It's on Truth. I just wrote it. I just felt I've seen what's going on with communism, and I see this country. Read it. I'd love to have you think it.
You wrote that quote, communists always do well with the voters, or as they would say, the people in the early years. But in the end, the country, state, or city goes to hell. Great violence proceeds at levels never seen before, and the entity dissolves into poverty, squalor, and crime. Remember, breathtaking popularity first, and then guaranteed death and destruction.
Well, you see it happening with New York. You see it happening with Los Angeles and parts of California. And it's so easy, I'd be the greatest in the world. Nobody would be as good as me. I'd give away everything. I could be the greatest. I would sell them. You're going to get free rent. You're going to get free houses. You're going to get free food. You're going to get free everything. But eventually that ends. And it leads to death, destruction, and squalor 100% of the time. When I watched New York, and I liked him very much, he stood right here, and he's been in the office a couple of times, the mayor of New York. I think he's a very nice person, and I don't know, he's a smart guy. I don't understand why he thinks it's okay for all these companies that pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes a year to leave. Because you're not going to have any tax base, and you're going to end up in hunger and squalor and death and destruction. I would be better than him if I wanted to go that route. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll no longer pay rent. You'll no longer have to pay interest on your mortgage. In fact, I'll end your mortgage. I'm going to cut everything. You're no longer going to have to pay for food. I'm going to give you a grocery store, and I'm going to give you free food. You're no longer going to have, you're going to have the greatest life ever. Follow me, you're going to have the greatest life. And you know what? For a couple of years, that's such a powerful, I would be the best ever at giving it. Nobody would ever be. I had to sell free enterprise. Free enterprise is tougher to sell, but that's what's made our country great. And that's why it's great again now. If I didn't get elected, we wouldn't have a country. We really wouldn't have a country. This country would be finished. But I see what's happening in Los Angeles. I see what's happening in New York. Where I look at Chicago. You have a stupid governor, a dumb governor, a really dumb guy. I know him well. He's a failure in his family, Pritzker. I know the family. I was partners in a deal with them. I made a lot of money. They made money. We made a good partnership. But he was like an outcast in the family. He was a slob. And The mayor is a low IQ person. I mean, he's a stupid person. Chicago has a case, a real chance to become great again. There's a case, great again. If we were allowed to do what we did in Washington or Memphis, I was with the governor of Tennessee yesterday, and he said, I want to come in. He came in to thank me. I said, for what? He said, what you did for Memphis. Memphis, the crime is down about 72%. And it's going, he said, it's like a different city. Washington is even more so. We started a little bit earlier. Washington, you walk down the streets and people feel safe here again. It's a safe city. If I were, oh, by the way, in Louisiana, what I've done there is unbelievable, because the governor, Jeff Landry, called. He said, you got to help me with New Orleans. We have a tremendous crime problem. And I sent in our really talented people, including National Guardsmen, and they did it unbelievable. They had the safest, they said they had the safest, it just ended about 3 weeks ago. They had the safest Mardi Gras they've ever had. I could do that in Chicago, but you have to have the support of a governor. You can't have a slob that says, we don't want it. People get murdered, and he says it's fine. They lost 5 or 6 people last week, and they said, it's fine. They're not going to lose 5 or 6 people. And I would make Chicago so good and so safe. It's got potential. The longer it goes, the harder it is to fix. And San Francisco, we could do such a good job. My friend said, please let the mayor, he's a liberal guy, nice guy, I talked to him. He wants to make San Francisco good, and he's trying very hard. I said, look, I can do it much faster than you. Please let me have a time. I spoke to the mayor. And some very important people asked me to give him a chance because they'd like to see if he could do it. And he's doing okay, but I could do it much faster, much better. And we can remove, don't forget, 2% of your people create 90% of your crime. That's a great number because 2% of the people you can take care of. If it was 90% of the people, that's no good. But 2%. In Washington, right here in D.C., we removed close to 5,000 hard-line criminals. Many came in through the Biden open border. We removed them from Washington, D.C., and it's one of the reasons that we're so safe now. We have a great, beautiful place. Again, the fountains are almost all open. You're going to have the reflecting pool opened within hours. I mean, literally within hours. The water starts pouring in tonight. It's going to be beautiful. You haven't seen that since 1922. Think of that. 1922. It hasn't worked. Never worked. From the day they built it, it never worked. But you're going to see that. And people are all thanking me because Washington's beautiful again. The parks are open. We changed the grass. Grass has a life also. Like people, grass has a life. And that grass hasn't been changed in 70, 80 years. It died many times over. We have beautiful grass, beautiful parks, beautiful everything. We don't have people living on it. And Washington, D.C., in a matter of 14 months, Washington, D.C. is like a different place. If people are coming here, the restaurants are all going out of business, as you know, because you use the restaurants. And now the restaurants are hot. In fact, if anything, we don't have enough restaurant space. They're all reopening. It's become vibrant. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and I am honored that I've been able to do it to our nation's capital. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, President.
All right. Okay, cool. So we still have several things to watch because today's an anniversary of an awful day in China. June 4th, 1989. Tens of thousands of Chinese citizens went to Tiananmen Square to protest. It was entirely peaceful. It was more of a festival there. And the Chinese government responded by sending the military in there and killing all of them. So we have some documentaries to watch, but we can't do it on YouTube. So I will see you guys tomorrow if you don't make it. If you're looking for the link for the watch party, it is in the description. It should be the 5th link. Or you can just go to my Rumble channel. We're going to keep it live there. And we'll see you guys. Goodbye, YouTube. Can't do watch parties here. Have a great day, YouTube. See you tomorrow if you don't make it over. Goodbye. That's my bread machine in the background. It's making me a pizza dough ball. Man.